Well, thank you, Neil.
Well, as y'all know, we're faced with here. And, our preference is like I have everybody else, because the public's watching us today, you know, which I think is a good thing that they've been able to see exactly what everybody's doing. You know, this is a big one. You know, the needs versus wants, and what do y'all need?
Well, basically, fire departments have maintained their present budget for the last 2 years and asked for no increase, realizing the strains the county's in. So we have been tightening the budget and everything else for the past 2 years. And even on this year, on our basic money, we're not asking an increase. As everybody knows, when the tax levy, just make sure the public knows, the fire departments did not get an increase on the tax levy. Their money stayed exactly the same. It just come out of a different pot. That's something hurt us on the fund drive because the public think we got more money. We actually did not. Their money was the same. The additional money we're asking for this year is what was in the previous decal money. And the reason we need that is for apparatus replacement.
Tell the public what that is, apparatus.
The fire trucks, replacements. To give you an idea, we're all either ordered or going to order an apparatus. I know we ordered one in November to be the price increase. The original price was $1.283 million with a 50-month delivery time. We did put a deposit on it, got it down to 1.1 million. It's ridiculous, but that's the cost of it. It's a 50-month delivery, so you have to go ahead and order it. And we're taking that truck and replacing 2 trucks, so we're reducing the fleet. But you know, these are costs, part of doing business. We have to have it.
Y'all did that too with your last tanker.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a tanker pumper, I believe.
Yeah. So we're trying to reduce the fleet. But the apparatus are just reducing price, but it's what it is. If you watch the news, everybody sees it.
Right.
And the delivery time. So, we're asking for the decal money, so we can use that to help offset the cost of the apparatus.
And that 5,000, it'd be 5,000 per fire department, correct?
50,000.
Gotta add another zero.
Yeah, 50,000.
He meant to say 50. He's thinking small, me too.
Yeah.
It's 50,000.
Yeah, so it's 50,000 per department, so it'll be a total of $150,000.
Yeah.
Right, some of what we saw earlier today, and I mean, it's hard to talk about cutting anybody, but some of the stuff, the services will still be provided to the county without putting in so much money. But some of that money can be made up. So potentially all of it once you get into it, but no, I mean,
John, we look, and if you don't mind me interrupting, we looked at some of those numbers. I'm just going to ask the fire department. Well, I want to ask this question before I tell you. Just take the decal money and just don't talk about decal money. That's revenue coming in. They're really asking for 50,000 apiece. What I'm asking is if we could give 100,000 more, because I think we underestimated the revenue.
Yeah.
And so it's more revenue coming in than we thought.
Only 11.
And it looks like it could be possible $100,000. My other question, now this is the question I want to ask. Buddy, from my understanding on this radio project, we're taking over the radio. So will that save the fire departments in budget-wise on radios, since it's going to be part of our budget now?
Yes, because it'll be part of the county system. We give them a radio when they need one.
And what I'm asking is if we could do 100,000 this year, and then take a look at the numbers next year, would that be a midway
Well,
agreement?
I mean, really, the radios, except for the initial purchase, there's not that much expense after you get them. Because of course they're like 20 some years old, and it was back then it was on a grant, I think was how we got it. But we don't have that much expense other than maybe some repairs on radios.
Insurance wise too, you should
Yeah.
have insurance on the radio, so if we lose one or break one, then you should be able to call Buddy the County and get it new ones.
And we got a good warranty on these radios.
What is the savings that Steve was mentioning about? Do we have a number of that as far as the radio savings? I mean, that's potentially there?
It's not gonna be a savings on our end, it's gonna be expenditure on our end. I don't know where it's gonna be saved for the fire department.
He's speaking of what Steve was saying, saving the individuals.
Right.
Um,
For us right now, like to buy a VR400, like a radio is like $250. So if we lose one, we'll have to buy one, or if we get some more members, then we'll have to buy our own pagers or things
Right.
like that to have for the newer members. And officers get portables and things like that. So I mean, there is a savings there for us,
Right.
especially the county total.
And as far as Steve's compromise here, guys, let me ask y'all this, and I understand where he's going, he's doing exactly what he needs to be doing, but I'll ask this. In giving y'all the 100,000, is that still putting y'all behind? Do we need to hit the 150? Is that where y'all at? That we know it's to get y'all the $150,000, or is it, it's 100,000 there looking at the numbers next year? Because we never know what next year is gonna bring, but how close does that get us? Or, you know, is it kind of like saying, well, we'll take what we can get. We don't want you hanging your head down. You follow what I'm saying? If it's needed, just say, hey, guys, it's needed. We're right here in front of everybody. Just tell us what you need.
And I mean, I think kind of where Joey's coming from. You guys haven't signed your contract on your truck.
No,
Burkeville did do theirs. We paid the entire money up front because we had it in reserve. By doing that, we saved $168,708. Our truck was $1.15 million. You said yours was 1.2.
Ours was 1.2. We paid 600,000 up front and saved 130,000. You had to keep some for operating expense.
Right.
So Crew and Burkeville are in that same boat. Zach is maybe a couple months behind us at most. So you're looking at two departments that put almost $1 million out this year. Or combined $1.5 million. I'm not gonna say that I can't survive without the extra 50, but it sure would be nice to get some.
What you're talking is 33,000 for the
That's right. Instead of
I'm not gonna punch the gift horse in the mouth. If the county can afford to give me 33 instead of 50, I'm not gonna say.
The bottom line is, y'all feel like that 50,000 decal money is your money. You pretty much said it.
Yeah, and I want to go back and ask about that, as well as what you was talking about on the levy coming out of a different pot.
Right.
It's the same money, same request, but it's coming out of a different pot.
Right.
But now that it's coming out of a different pot, we're using that money somewhere else that we need.
Right.
Right. But at the end of the day, if the general public thinks that you're getting these additional funds, which you're not, it's the same thing.
Right.
It's helping us on our side where we take it from. They're not wanting to make the donation.
You heard our donations.
You still significant hurt it?
Yeah.
I'm sure you
It
did.
did. Yeah, I mean, last year, we did 6 different fund drives, and, I mean, we made our fund drives, like $69,000 to supplement our income. Because we had these expenses.
Right.
So, now what it's gonna do, it hurt our fund drive, last year, a mail out, it hurt. It's probably gonna hurt again this year.
About how much roughly, not dollars wise, but percentage even if.
I'd say far as money, it hurt us at least $10,000 to $15,000.
Really?
It hurt, yeah, because it was hard to get the press out because it come out right about the time the levy did.
Yeah.
So it trying to get the message out hurt.
Yeah, the donation flyers went out about right after.
Yep.
I know.
So that, that hurt. And it's hard to people understand. They see the levy and they think that's extra money we're getting and we're not.
What about the decal, Steve? Where in the previous,
But with the
Conversation
the
today,
board, the old board voted that was given them. And let's back up for a minute. We never, very seldom collected $50,000 for each fire department. It was sometimes 43, 44,
Right.
and then we pulled the rest out of the general fund to make it 50 because they needed a budgeted number. These gentlemen came. I can't say, hey, and that's gonna be something different too. I mean, that's what we're talking about. You know, we estimate the revenue this tax levy is gonna bring in. It's hard for them to budget, like, hey, it's a good year, we did well, but you ain't gonna get all with, but next year you ain't gonna get as much. You know what I'm saying? That they're trying to figure. We're going through a growing pain right now. We're going through, and trying to figure this thing out. Because the tax levy ain't gonna, somewhere I'm gonna collect a certain amount, and I may have missed the estimate, you know. And with the fire side, the miss is it's really on the good side right now. It looks like we ain't got that. We ain't got the final numbers. But what up if it does go? It goes to them. That's what that's what the law says, you know, the tax anyway. So.
Well, what about the decal money? How much money is collected?
I would say.
I know you want to, I just a rough.
No,
About 130.
let's 45 between maybe 45,000 3 ways. That's
Okay.
what, you know. Anyway, so what are you talking 90?
Well,
Yeah, right, 30,000. But anyway,
It was, Christie ran it for me last year because I had that question for Steve, and it was, like he said, around 44, 43 and times 4. Because remember, we were giving it to 4 agents, and squad was part of it. So that was about 160,000. And then, like Steve said, we rounded it up to 200.
but
So
if you ask me where the decal money is going, the decal money really right now is going to, it's in the general fund, but we had to use decal money we're pulling money out of reserves, which decal money is in that reserve to pay the emergency squad. And I mean, that's what's happening anyway.
And soon to be some communication pay for the new.
That's right.
Well, the communication payment, we went up real estate 3 cents because they didn't want that. They didn't want that part of their budget.
Right.
I remember that now.
The 3 cent, but anyway, so that 3 cent tax, that's going to the payments of the communication system.
Can I ask you guys this? Projections, and this is not a fair question. I'll preempt that. Given 50,000 this year, do y'all have any idea of any increases like next year or the following year? In other words, I feel like the public needs to know what y'all need coming down the road. I'm tired of y'all getting beat up. You know, I'm tired of y'all feeling like you have to beg. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to the citizens. So that's kind of one of my goals with this, is to make sure that people understand what y'all need when they pick the phone up. Y'all are there because they dial the phone. That's why y'all are here. Same thing with the squad, but I won't get into that right now. But what is y'all's projections for maybe next year or the following year for any additional increases that you're aware of? If you're not, that's fine, you know.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that's coming down the pipe, you know, which year it's gonna be in, is gonna be staffing, how you work it.
Right.
Because you don't have the people that can leave a job. You don't have the volunteers. We have a lot of retirees and we're aging out.
That's right.
And something's gonna have to be done to start some sort of staffing. And how you can work it out. You know, you're not gonna be in there full time as a firefighter. You're probably gonna do fire and EMS.
Right.
But that expense is coming down the road. And it's coming down pretty quick.
If the board, Joey, and that's all for y'all. And I know if you're a firefighter, a lot of firefighters don't want to do EMS. I get it.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I'm not asking y'all. Just take your chief's hat off for a minute, if you will. Does it make financial sense in the future that we have ambulances in our firehouses?
To actually, money wise, it makes more sense.
That's why I said financial. I'm not asking. I know it's chief. I'm asking you to put your hat down.
Yeah, now,
Because I know you got people watching you, and you're the leader.
Yeah.
But we're at that crossroads.
Yes.
We're at that crossroads. So we got to figure that out.
you're gonna have to sit down and develop a long-term plan.
Right.
I mean, because there's not really a long-term plan developed, and with the money going out, you're gonna have to develop a plan and where you're going in.
I mean, that's definitely gonna take a long time. You gotta talk to town of Blackstone, talking to, there's all types of things that go into that versus just, had a conversation with somebody, you can't just park it on, out front of the bay. Hey, we're gonna send the people in
Right.
here, you have policy, procedures.
Right.
We pretty much have the bunk rooms and everything like that, but it's a lot higher than us.
And Zach, the reason I'm bringing that up, I think y'all got, I know y'all do, y'all got the leadership skills that help in that transition. Where somebody else might come along and say, you know what, I ain't gonna work with you guys, whatever. Because you actually, I think y'all see it through your lenses, it's there. And it's just that how do we get there from here,
I've had discussion with, Chesterfield firefighter who has told me several times, don't let no ambulance in your fire.
Right.
Don't do that. And if you want to have one in there in the firehouse like y'all, that's a different deal. That's your own entity. It works that might as well for y'all.
So like Steve said, you have firefighters who just want to do firefighting stuff.
Right.
Chesterfield is 80-20, 80 medical, 20% fire.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there for 8.5 years and love it. Do I like riding bikes? No, but I do.
Mhm.
Here I do run some calls, not as much as I maybe should, but there is a difference in personnel that you get. You'll have some that just want to run the medical side. You have some that do want to run just the fire side. But we're at that, when we get to that point, it's going to be, you're going to have to be cross-trained. That if we get a fire that comes in, we got to get the same problem crew does, same problem Burkeville does. Our Phillip Arms that runs 90% of the calls, he's getting up in age. So we're starting to train people now to drive and pump and do things like that. But if it wasn't for the shift work people, retirees and things like that during the daytime, it's extremely short.
Yeah, we would already be well in the pay probably started 10 years ago at minimum, if it weren't for that. And we're losing that. The other reason why I think it's really important, the question that I asked y'all is, y'all understand what next year is? That is the beginning of the chaos. That is going to be the beginning of the next election cycle. And it's going to be chaos. And this board will flip. You may have a total new board. That's why it's important to lay out what y'all's needs very clear, so that does not become a point of contention during an election for somebody to try to feed off of that and use y'all in some sort of negative light. It wouldn't be fair to y'all. Damn sure it's gonna be fair to citizens what's gonna happen. So need y'all's message out front, loud and clear now.
I think, to tail off your question and Steve's input, in my situation, I've already got the ambulance in my station. I'm not going to force it on anybody else. It's how we're operating, and it's how I'm staffing fire trucks getting out of the buildings right now, or building. The process with my people working for the town, like Zach said, you're going to have to talk to the town. That was a 3 to 4 year process. I was mayor in Burkeville, and John Shute was still the chief. When we started to dig that foot and start to lay that foundation, it took us 3 to 4 years to develop to the point where those employees now work for the town, and that's town equipment. These guys, you got the bunk rooms. I had the bunk rooms 3 or 4 years ago, but you didn't have, I kind of had some part-time staff, but you didn't have full staff. That took you 3 to 4 years to put those policies, get those procedures, get those agreements with the town in place to run it. I'll be happy to help whichever department wants to help, but I'm not going to push it on them. They need to make their own decisions for what's going to work for them.
If you've got a cross-trained person for EMS and fire, and you got 2 of them staying in the bunk, they on call, and you get a accident, do they get the ambulance or do they get the fire truck?
Both.
So you can split
So
it.
one person's gonna get a fire truck, one person's gonna get an ambulance.
Or so we can have one of those people drive and wait for volunteers to get there. So we have a driver, and then for the medic unit, the same way. At least have a driver for both. So we have the personnel to staff them if they're going to drive.
Okay.
And when you,
Cause I was thinking when the EMS has got to be, they gotta be there. But if the fire truck has got the jaws of life to get the victim out, they gotta be there first.
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
and just to start with, you still gonna have some volunteers. It's gonna be a combination. You're not gonna be a fully paid service to start with. It's gonna be a combination. And that's one reason we run mutual aid right now, because daytime for fires or something, no one company
Yep,
can handle it.
Right.
So we're running yes, you're gonna see crew trucks in Blackstone trucks in Burke, whatever, but it's necessary evil,
Right,
you know,
right.
because of staffing. And it's gonna be this, you know, what's gonna continue to happen. But like I say, to start with, I mean, you bring both, you may get a patient refusal and you just need a fire truck for a fire on or something like that. But you still have volunteers coming in and everything else. You know, you couldn't fully staff the fire department, which you need. I think NFPA says they want 15 people there within 6 minutes. Ain't gonna happen.
It's going to fall in.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, the other thing people don't understand, either one of these departments, I don't care which one it is, you're talking about if one of these departments, $1 million does not touch what you need to keep that department going. Right off the bat, you're talking about a tax increase that's going to be the equivalent of what this courthouse is going to do to you each year. That's one department shutting down. That's why it's very important for the programs in the school and all this, for the volunteers and for the donations. The donations and these fund drives help people understand that it helps keep the levies low. The volunteers help keep the costs down with the salaries and stuff like that. But you're gonna have to, I still think that we were talking about last year or the year before about 2 people somewhere. But I think when you start, you can probably have 2 additional in each department probably as a minimum. And that's just during day.
Well, let's use an example, because the tax levy is saying the biggest, I'm glad you started off the way you did, Chief, as you said, hey, y'all didn't ask for increase. And people sometimes mix that up with the EMS thing, you know, and I understand. But let's use Zach as an example. Zach's he's the chief. I come in there and I say, hey, I'm gonna do firefighting in EMT, but I'm not much on blood, Zach, but I'll drive that Nottoway emergency squad. I'll drive that squad for you when I'm in the squad house. Okay. You can figure out a way to put me to work on the EMS side, right? See, then he's gonna get some EMS money.
Right.
Well, you're not gonna be able to separate it that close. What I'm saying is, I don't know what the code says or whatever. There ain't no way you're gonna be able to separate, well, how much did that guy do EMS and how much
was
it's
on fire?
it's just gonna go to that department. That's just the way it is. And that's where you get your more money too. You understand what I'm saying? You know, money is not all the factor, but it's a big part of it. But I'm trying to figure out, that's where I think the financial sense comes into play. Joy is what I'm thinking, but I don't know if I'm right or not.
If you're staffing a dual house, there's shifts where I have a firefighter, EMT, or firefighter, medic, whatever, where one has a Virginia certified firefighter cert in their hand. Their partner may only have an EMS certification. They're cross-trained, so when they get on scene, Zach can say, hey, I need you to set up rehab, and they know to pull the air bottles, get all this stuff, how to code it, you know what I mean? Separate full bottles from empty bottles. They can help with that operation. Are they interior firefighters? No. But you can teach them those tasks that you're kind of cross-training them, but not cross-certifying. I don't remember which one you wanted to use, carback. My current staffing this morning, I had 2 firefighter EMTs. If the first call they caught was a car wreck, those 2 both know how to use the rescue truck. They're going to get in the rescue truck and respond to that car wreck. Myself and whichever next volunteer come are going to grab that ambulance and go. Because the fire truck's going to set up that safety zone. It's going to get the people out of the car, and that ambulance comes in and either treats and releases, treats refusal, or treats and transports. But some sort of way, we're going to figure it out. Now, if I had yesterday's crew, which had a paramedic, firefighter, and an EMT only, she's going to stay back. When I get there, I'm getting on with that firefighter medic. We're going. The next volunteer gets there, gets on that ambulance, and they get that truck out. So you're getting 2 trucks out with 2 people. If I lose those 2 people, we're getting one or the other. You ain't getting both. And, we had a wreck a week and a half ago or so. We had 2 transports to go out of the car wreck. I cleared the fire truck, went back, got the other ambulance, and we were able to transport 2 people. I'm not saying these guys are going to have 2 trucks in there. I hope you don't.
Brian, like if you had a paramedic and they had firefighter 1, you got a brush, the paramedic sitting there, and no calls are coming out, and you have a brush fire, are you going to make sure that paramedic, does he got he's got the license, does he stay at the firehouse, or does he go out with the brush truck and puts a backpack on, puts the fire out.
There's two options there. Is that call in the county or is it out of county?
I don't know.
Say it's in the county.
It's in the county, that firefighter's going, we're going, because these county taxpayers are paying for that dude to be sitting in the station. If your field's on fire, you want somebody to come. So
Now,
he's getting on the
if a
truck.
volunteer shows up, is he gonna be relieved to go back in case he gotta go to the ambulance for another call?
No, more than likely that ambulance coming along with it.
To the brush fire.
Yeah, because then they can respond. It's the
And
same,
plus they can respond from that locality.
it's the same argument you're getting with the truck sitting at the restaurants eating.
Oh, y'all
If
ain't
they
supposed
got
to
the,
eat
if
now.
they got the truck there, guess
All that
what?
crap.
I could tell you, Bo, let's mean you go cover this EMS call.
Yep, I totally agree with
My
that.
brush truck's there. I'm gonna leave you one or two people to run that truck. Joey and, Zach are gonna have people there to help you. And we're gonna take that ambulance, we're gonna cover that other call, other call. But if I leave that truck at the station,
And that ambulance might be needed on that brush call.
right, if I leave,
Some heat ventilation, you know.
if I leave that ambulance in the station with one person, I might not get a second person. But if I have that truck on scene, I can clear somebody else up to go cover that call. That's how I'm running it. I'm not gonna tell anybody else to run it my way. I just.
Guys, it seems like y'all's ask is very simple. And for me, I'm supportive of it because, back in 1991, when I was with the rescue squad, I understand a little bit different from where I am, but it's, there's multiple hats you can put on here, but because of the multiple hats, I understand where y'all are coming from, I understand the need, I understand the citizens driven. So at the end of the day, you've made it clear, y'all want the 50 or you look for something else. And hear what I'm saying. I don't want you to have to come back and ask for more because we gave you last night.
But at the same time, we want you to get by with your minimum amount.
Right.
That you can get by with. Because y'all understand firsthand how hard we are right now.
And that's why the last 2 years we haven't asked for anything. I mean, we've tried to be good. We're taxpayers too, and we understand. So, I mean, we're trying to do what we can. Just we have some inevitable expenses.
Mhm.
And
Things are not getting cheaper.
yeah, when they call 911, they expect a service, and we want to have the equipment there to do it.
Gear has a shelf life of 10 years.
Right.
For a set of turnout gear, you're looking at $3,500 to $5,000 for a set of gear. One section of the fire hose right now is about $350 for 50 feet. That's just for the smaller lines. You go into the bigger, you're looking at $400 section. You got nozzles, you have fire truck prices, which we've already covered that. They're steady going up.
And so, I mean, I don't know the exact words, but I would say it's fair to say this is a hard ask. So this is
Right.
fair. Okay. All right. So,
Can I interject
Yes,
something
sir.
on because you asked, I'm going back thinking about your question to them. What do you see in the next couple of years?
Mhm.
So Chief, I'm going to direct you to the capital improvement plan that we put together in 22. We've been hammering it every year. That's your answer. I know we spent 20 minutes on staffing, but we didn't talk about, if you look on page 2 of every budget request, it has a capital sheet in it that tells what they want for the next 3 years.
we'll be back up.
And just to remind everybody that is the sheet that we work off of the master sheet, which the board has, because I've given it to you, in other meetings, with the green bars on it, which shows that 20-year, we have a 20-year projection. I think we go out to 2042, 2046, somewhere in there. And there's a block in there every year. And every year, it's at least $400,000. So for the next 20 years, what the chiefs have identified, when I came on board, I started the capital improvement plan, but it's only on paper. And when you looked at it and you totaled it over, I think over 20 years, it's $8.7 million worth of trucks and ambulances. And that's what we have in front of us in increments that you come up with. I mean, it's really flexible. It would be whatever increments that you feel like you can help them with. But that is a plan that the whole team put together and just projected it out. And they plugged it in as to, this is a tanker, this is an engine, this is an ambulance, ambulance is in there too. And so just want to bring that, keep that on the radar. Because I think that answers John's question to a certain degree, right, John? Because you're looking at, we're asking now for this, but the trucks don't go away.
Right.
And they're not going to go away. So even if we plug in the staffing model, like Joey said, in a couple of years, And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you know, you get staffing and trucks, then you got both, because the trucks are not going away. And does anybody have help with the truck? Sure. Sure, the towns put a little bit towards them and they get some grants. But right now, grants are not good with trucks. You know, Dickie and I were talking about this earlier. They're good with ambulances. The rescue squad assistance plan right now is twice a year. And I just looked the other day, there was about 5 ambulances in Southside Virginia that were awarded at 70-30.
Right.
The state pays 70% of these ambulances, and that's good. That's a good program, but it's not fire trucks.
Right.
And so the only way we can get fire truck grants, and I've been honored to have written a couple of those in my career, is they're hit and miss, and they're federal, and they're with FEMA. And right now, everything's frozen at FEMA and DHS. So to get a tanker at 500, 600,000 and an engine at $1 million, that grant's about the only way to take a good chunk out of it. And so they're going to definitely have that on the radar to ask the towns and the county both to try to help them along.
Well, and I'll kind of close, you know, my thoughts with this maybe, but it to me, it's kind of simple. Again, it's citizen driven, but the requirements, what you can use, what you got to use, that's federal and state mandates. Okay. So here again, for everyone that complains, and I don't want this to be abrasive to the public because that's not the intent, but all the ones that are complaining about it, volunteer. Volunteer, that reduces a ton of this. It's the same model that I say we can save $2 million a year. You wouldn't believe it. Guess how? All the people in Nottoway got to do is behave themselves and not go to Piedmont Regional Jail. It's a $2 million savings right there. So the citizens do honestly have a huge say in this and can help this and help prevent this from going up. Instead of complaining on Facebook, please, by God, sign up, volunteer, take some of this incoming cost away because it's coming, and stay out of trouble. You know,
I can keep them out of trouble.
we can divert the $2 million right over here. So, but that's just my mind thinking. And remember, I have strokes, so I digress.
Zach, your 5,000 different, that's that ladder truck, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Which I was, speaking of that too, the price of that is going up too. So
Is
for
it?
us to get the,
Get it from Blackstone.
ladder testing, getting the TAC 3, which is the front axle and the rear axle testing is $6,784.
That's going up, okay.
So that.
And that's an annual, that's a reoccurring annual.
Correct.
All right.
And Steve, we're not advocating for ambulance in the firehouse. So just so the public knows.
And I know that's a sore subject.
Now-
And you don't want to go back to the firehouse and all your volunteers quit going, I'm not getting an EMT. I
Yeah,
know that's.
but I say,
Another bucket of tar feathers.
yeah, we just do have to develop a long-term plan because
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with, that's the thing, we've got a plan for this. And, we know trucks, ambulances cost a lot of money, and we know they don't last well. So I think we need to have a long-term plan and how we're gonna do this. I myself don't have any problem with the extra $50,000. That's me. I'm not just one of 5.
Well, that's 2 of 5.
Okay.
I'm drinking coffee. Y'all won't look at me.
Yeah, we looking at
let me
it.
borrow you that.
You got the goodie. The biggie.
I mean,
I'm all for the fire department. We got to have you guys.
I mean, it's got to be done one way or the other.
And hopefully, like Steve said, and looking at the revenue that's coming in from the levy, it's got to go to fire and EMS. I mean, you know, we don't have any choice with that. That's why we did it the way we did it. So this money goes to y'all. It can't go somewhere else. So I think $50,000 is reasonable, and I'll vote for it.
Well, and you just gave me another thought, believe it or not. Oh, man, I lost it that quick. Lord have mercy.
I know I'm not very.
It's actually pretty important. I don't know what it was.
And you guys realize y'all will get a yay or nay answer anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
we're listening.
Yeah.
We take us back to everybody. Like I said, I'm just one of 5. So.
We appreciate your support and we appreciate your time.
We appreciate y'all.
Appreciate y'all taking the time to come up here and talk.
Yes, sir.
Really do appreciate it. Appreciate all that y'all do. Y'all know I appreciate you.
Y'all would much rather go help somebody fight a fire than come up here
Oh,
and have
definitely.
to request money, and we realize that. We really do.
I've just seen it ever since I was 16 years old. It feel like you have to beg to do what y'all do, and it's almost a slap in the face. And God bless you. God bless you, because at any turn, I know what it was.
Yeah, come back to us.
Simplify. Is there a way to please simplify the levy? You know, because everybody had got these charges on everything. Is there a way we could keep it simple? And I don't know the answer, so I'm not even gonna pretend. If you got real estate, just put it on real estate. If you don't own real estate, then you put it on the personal property. But that, honestly, everybody was complaining about the additional costs. We get that. But the next biggest complaint I heard, and even to right now, is why is it on every single thing? Everything's like this and all this additional paperwork. It's like, how can we simplify that to say, this is the cost, this is what we need, and just drop the cost accordingly across either personal property or real estate, just one fee.
Well, what I see, John, if we do that, you're gonna have a huge increase in one or the other.
But it's the same number.
That'd be the same number, but I mean,
It's the
let's say, okay, we're gonna raise real estate 10 cents. And
He's
do
not
anything
saying
with
that,
personal
y'all.
property, and not do anything with personal property. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's gonna be, if we just say, okay, well, one or the other's gonna have to pay this, you're gonna hear all sorts of belly aching either way. I used to always hear, you've got to make people pay personal property tax, because a lot of people that don't have real estate, but they're driving a car, and make them pay. They've got to contribute too.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You
saying.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They got to contribute too, but so in the fact that we set up the levy, we're sitting there looking at it like, okay, how are we gonna get enough money to fund these folks? And how are we gonna do it? If we just said, okay, we're gonna put it all on real estate. You talking about a big
Right,
jump on
right.
real estate. Gonna put it all on personal property, it's gonna be a big jump on personal property. So the way to simplify it, I don't know. But I mean, that was one of the things we thought about. How can we do this in such a way we get the money we need
right.
and not hit one or the other too much?
Well, it's gonna be the same thing as the decal money. Think
Right.
about it.
Right.
And you said when you started, John, we get a new board, the next board might say, I'm not gonna give them that much money.
Yeah,
But now that you
we
got
don't know.
a levy, next board can't come in and say you gave, that money's gotta go to. That's really the reason we did the levy. And I hate the same thing, it's too much stuff on the tax bill.
Yeah.
I think the way the tax bill was written was confusing a little bit too.
And that's the big part about it.
Yeah.
I think if we can somehow subdue that confusion with the charge bill and everything, 'cause it's kind of like walking through the store. You know, when you ring everything up on the register, you understand you're gonna get, here's your subtotal, here's your tax, here's your total. People don't want to look at the tax on every item. It gets overwhelming. So it's like, if there's a way, but like I said, everybody's gonna have to pay.
Right.
But I'm just saying that if they own both, put it on one. If they own one or the other, put it on that one. And just like your total cost, let's say you got 10 cars and don't own real estate. Your total for your 10 cars comes up to this. Here's your fire levy on one bill. Because this is what your total is. If you own 10 properties, same thing. Here's your total cost. This is what you're gonna pay combined between your 10 properties. So just.
I don't know if you can do that either, because people are gonna be saying, wait a minute, why is my personal property so wide? I want it. Yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult thing to do.
Right.
It really is. And Steve and I have talked about this. People call me up and say, why am I paying for EMS when I only own a piece of property in Nottoway County? I'm not even a resident of Nottoway County. Why am I paying for EMS? I said, suppose somebody got hurt on your property. You gonna be able to call somebody to come get you? You're not gonna sit there and say, well, I'll take you back home and then we'll send you somewhere. So that's the question I was getting all the time. Well, why is it so? Why am I don't own property? Or I only own property if I don't have any personal property, blah, blah, blah. It's gotta cover everybody, because everybody's gonna pick up that phone, like Joey says, they're gonna call 911. And they're gonna say, we need you,
Yeah.
whether it's fire or EMS. or both.
And I think when Logan gave us a breakdown, I've got it right here. She did a good job of breaking down what we had received as of right around Valentine's Day. Actually, Tammy gave it to her, I think, right, Logan?
No.
Oh, you did? Okay. So when you look at it, and this is interesting, I really hadn't looked at it this way, is the fire and personal property, the personal property, the two put together was 701,000 has come in. But then when you look at the real estate, both of those combined was around 8. So it was almost 50% down. It was almost down the middle, the way they flushed out. But now when you look at it the other way, the EMS side, it's 1.1 million came in, and on fire it's about 400 some thousand. So because of the way the rate was set. So that's a good way to analyze it when y'all are moving forward. But I think
Yeah, and I just,
Good
like I
number.
said, I understand there's a breakdown on everything, but you talking about amount of paper I get it to. You know, I go in there and I get amount of paper for my taxes each year. It would be nice to get a bill and say, if you want a breakdown, you go get your breakdown if you want to. I'm talking about saving county some costs with all this paperwork too. But here's your personal property bill, here's your real estate bill, here's your fire bill, here's your EMS bill.
Somebody saving the county money, they won't even put some of them in the same envelope.
That's
Well,
what
They
I'm
mail
talking
9
about.
different envelopes, 77 cents a piece, rather than pack them all up. in
What
one.
I'm getting ready to tell you is, think about if you were the treasurer. And you had to get your people there to come and add up all of them and say, okay, we're gonna take John Rourke. Okay, he's got this on personal property. So you add all that up and then you put this over here. Now you got real estate. John Rourke's got blah, 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 blah. And that all up and we put this over here. It's gonna be difficult for them because they're short-staffed too.
Well, I mean, aren't they kind of already doing that? They just put.
Well,
Yeah,
but
they're not putting it-
look, they're doing it in the computer.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
But he's talking about patching actual.
I
envelope.
understand.
That envelope, they'll have it come to the same address. You get that in there when they
Well,
go. I
Hey, be lucky if you get that envelope.
don't want that envelope. They can have it.
No, what I'm telling you is be lucky if the mail gets it to you.
Oh, absolutely, because it might be 2 years. That's
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't have nothing else. guys.
All right, Chief, you gonna discuss the EMS on the next block appointment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he just moved you
So
that
as I
chair,
understand now, you done cut into your time by 5 minutes.
Close the timekeeper. Fire
I
department,
didn't mean
thank
to say
y'all.
you cut into your time. You let others cut
Thank
into
y'all
your
for
time.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all
Thank you.
a whole lot.
Good luck.
Thanks, Jack.
Joey, Zach, if y'all need anything, let me know, man.
I forgot to tell them my story that I did with,
He's doing.
Ampliform. These guys would appreciate this. We met with Ampliform, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. Up there on the screen, and they had
I
all
gotta
this.
get you an Amphon t-shirt.
Wait a minute, we're still broadcasting, right?
Yeah, we are.
No, we can't do it now. We'll have to do it later.
I was waiting for this because he was gonna tell me earlier, there's a hold on.
I
I'm like,
wanna hear-
wait a minute, I was getting ready to warn
Oh,
you.
you'd appreciate it. You'd really
I want to
appreciate
hear that. When you come in a t-shirt, I'll say that to everybody.
it.
Chief, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everything.
We got to
Thank you, Joey.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Zach. See you.
Thank you, Jack.
Bye.
All right,
Y'all
see you,
have a
Zach.
good
See
evening.
you, Joy. Good seeing you, man. I appreciate y'all. See you, Joy. Take care, man. Buddy did all
Up next,
the hard. Yeah. Thank you, man.
BMS.
Appreciate it. The old skunk.
No skunk. Listen to him.
Well, we talked about that earlier too,
Well, I
Steve.
bet you did.
Yeah, we did.
Just so you know, Burkeville EMS is also on his fire one. It's all combined. So
Okay.
if you're looking for something different, it's not.
Why are they looking at us? Let me ask Brian. I don't know. I made some kind of deal with him a year ago. I was on medication at the time.
Still on
Whenever the meeting
But-
agreement, so.
The equipment, the 65,000, that's not fire, that's EMS stuff. That went to your squad,
Yeah.
right?
It came out of our reserve funds to buy that ambulance.
The ambulance, right? But that's a EMS thing. That's not a fire.
Yeah, so the deal I made with, yourself on behalf of the county was because the county was in such financial straits with
Right.
not having the additional funds this year.
Right.
We divided it into 3 years, 265,000 payments and a 70,000 would be.
But that was EMS. The reason I'm asking that question is because I was thinking in my head, I said, that we'll have an extra 50,000 once we get straight with you, but that's not fire, that's EMS.
No, I
You
mean, you'll have an extra 65,000 in 2 years.
In 2 years, right, but it's not fire, it's EMS.
Correct, but the money for this budget request and presumably next year will be 5,000 more because it'll be the 70, which will be the final payment.
Be a final payment.
That will still go to the fire department. If you look at this year's budget.
Yeah, but let me tell you what I was thinking in my brain. Because they just asked 50, 50, 50, and we was only gonna give 100, and I thought in another year or two, you'll get more.
I apologize.
You wouldn't make,
You're free.
because we're free of this payment, but
Right.
that payment is not a fire payment, it's a EMS payment.
But that's also more of a general fund payment. That's not something
Well,
that's coming
I don't
down.
know, but that's what I was thinking in my
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah, we should have mentioned that earlier. I might have had some.
Well, I couldn't remember, I
okay.
didn't wanna put Brian in I didn't wanna put Brian in a situation, he gets upset with me and crying and
He'll
things
be
like
all
that.
right.
No, so, and that's why, for clarity, that's why it's in this budget going. to
Yeah,
the fire
no,
department.
I got you.
Because I took all of, in previous budget years, if you guys match other years, we listed EMS money, it's 95,050, $95,050 was going to the fire department to help EMS. Well, this year we moved all of our paid operational employees. I have one admin that still works for the fire department that gets paid from the fire department, not the county. Those county funds I'm asking y'all for the 534 for the 26-27 budget year, that 534 is going straight to the town. I'm not seeing it. That's why I want that 65 directed to the fire department to repay the fire department for that purchase of that truck. Going forward, if you were to give me money towards another ambulance in years down the road, the town's not going to pay for that ambulance. It's going to have to come out of the fire department. So that payment plan is probably going to have to go back to the fire department. Just as if Joey or Zach ends up buying another apparatus they put in and get a request for, that money is going to go to them. Because the town of Burkeville does not have the money to buy fire trucks or ambulances.
But
I've got one
stay with
that's-
the 65 and full year.
That's the payment towards, so Nottoway Rescue Squad got 200,000 for an ambulance.
Crew fire department got a pumper truck for 200.
200,000 for their tanker,
Right.
and Blackstone got 200 towards the ladder truck.
Mm-hmm.
So the remaining department was Burkeville.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I came last year, Steve and I met, and he said, look, we really don't have the extra 200 this year. Could we do a payment plan?
Mm-hmm.
So we broke the payments into 65,000 last year,
And y'all use your reserve.
65 this year,
Mhm.
70 that third year, which would be 2748.
And then each department both got,
Then they would all have 200. Nobody can complain that one got something the other did.
If you take a fire department, now, I'm asking this question because I just want to get the logics of it. If you take a fire department and one fire department has 7 total trucks, brush truck, everything. You got another fire department that's got 5, you got another one that gets 3. Should they all equally get the same amount of money? Because obviously it costs different amounts for each one of them to operate. Yeah, I know you want to make it fair because at the end of the day, y'all are working together with all 3 of y'all are covering Nottoway County. I realize that. But the expenses of the 3 different fire departments has to vary in a significant way to size and trucks and insurance and fuel and upkeep. And so in other words, if I kept my old truck, a 97 Dodge, and I kept that thing going, and it was a government program to come out and give money to my neighbor who was a farmer for 10,000, should he give me the 10,000 too? As in, I decided to keep my old truck because I didn't want no new truck. Y'all need a new truck. It's different. But what I'm saying is the size difference. Otherwise, we was meeting a while ago with Piedmont Water and Soil Conservation. They do it on a per acre basis.
okay.
They can't just give a farmer Joe because he has 100 head of cattle, $10,000 in cover crop money. Another man over here the same amount of money because he's got that. They doing it by acre. So should we look at the $200,000 differently? Because
Well,
I think going forward, and it's part of, what he
I
was,
see what you're saying.
I don't want to say the mastermind.
This coffee made me take a long way to get around to what my end is, but I got that.
So Buddy put this is sheet, it's the other one you guys have.
Yeah,
The capital outlay, sheet. My understanding was before I became chief, Buddy had met with those current chiefs at the time, which included John, Val, and Dion, correct?
Yeah.
And they said, look, let's put a capital outlay for the next 5 years, and then I think you guys expanded to 10 years. So
I actually went 20.
Uh,
20 years.
So that kind of laid out everything. Well, everybody was on this, at least in Burkeville, was on this understanding that we could buy a tanker pumper for $750,000.
That's part of what they were doing, just like you're doing dual role with the firefighters, like crew, they did a dual role truck and they just ordered another dual role truck. So technically, instead of having 4 vehicles, they have 2.
Yeah, we
Right.
already had did it 15, 20 years ago. They started paring down their trucks.
Right.
We had a spare truck that was sitting in the back of the station that was in reserve status. When the hurricane hit 2 years ago, we donated that to a department in Tennessee that had lost everything. So a lot of citizens hit us and said, y'all have so much money, you can give away a truck. No, that truck was a 96. It had already aged out. It was sitting back there collecting dust. You still got to change the oil in it. You still got to put 10-year tires on it. It's costing you thousands sitting in the back of the bay not being driven. If there's a department that can use it, give it to them. Now, you know, some of it's not EMS, this is my EMS time, but we took an old ambulance that we had that we felt could serve a purpose in this county, and we're turning it into a rehab truck. I hadn't come to the county and said, well, give me money for this rehab truck. It crossed my mind, you know, come, buddy, give me your budget.
It really would be suggested for you to do that.
But no, and I understand that, but we're looking at it as the county doesn't have a current rehab truck. We've got this ambulance, it's in good serviceable condition. It doesn't have any of the ambulance things. We took the load system and stretcher, all supplies off it. But we are going to put a refrigerator, a coffee pot, some tables, and this truck can respond countywide, kind of like the Red Cross hazmat truck does. So we're looking at trying to take care of our firefighters on scene. So these are things that these 3 fire departments and the rescue squad are looking at. How can we better serve our community without asking for more money? And we're doing like the refrigerator got donated by a company out of Richmond. The coffee pot's going to be donated by another private donor. Then staff there will probably load it the first time with snacks and so forth. So you got to think outside the box. You have this truck. It ain't really worth but a couple $1,000s to sell it when we could repurpose it and use it for something else. These fire trucks, you know, the 96 was running to a point where you were out of parts. The ambulances, you don't want to be running an ambulance that you're spending thousands of dollars repairing it to keep it limping down the road. And they've got a shelf life of, 150 to 200,000 miles. Where I'm at right now, I've got one ambulance that's at 100,000. Roughly, we just spent over $6,000 in repairs on it. That'll get us along about 2 more years, not including oil changes and tire rotations. So I'm at the crossroads now. Do I start looking at a grant to put in, would you say, buddy, everybody's doing 70-30 now?
Yeah.
State 70-30, you still got 50-50, depends on what they feel like is the need.
So from the smart side, you put in a 70-30 and let them downgrade you to a 50-50. You put in a 50-50, you might get a nothing. So I can't put that grant in until I'm assured that it's going to be reasonable to buy another or order a 2-year build truck. So that's kind of the crossroad I'm at. I'm going to ask you all to tell me if you're going to keep funding me beyond this year or not. Where we're at with this, to kind of bring it back in, we stripped the 9505 out and added it into what we want you guys to give the town. So I put in there, what's the difference between the two? The staffing costs caused an increase of funding by $238,950, which is achieved by combining the 295,050 taken from the equipment contribution, 145 from the operations. This would give the grand total of $534,000, which is needed for staff. I've met with all of you personally, one-on-one over the past couple of years. I don't sugarcoat anything. Burkeville Volunteer Fire Department's at the point, if we don't get the 534 for staffing for cross-trained firefighter EMS staffing, we're gonna come right back to you and ask for 534,000 for 2 firefighters. That is the cost. My friends down the street in Nottoway, their pay rate starts at the same as mine, but it tops out $7 more than mine. So one of the things David and I had talked about, he'll be in here in a while, I guess, was maybe the 2 agencies need to try to get a little closer on payroll. Maybe I'm paying a little too low on some of my positions. Maybe he feels like we're both paying a little too low. I don't know, but I think we need to get the budget and know how much money we can get in. I can tell you based on what y'all have given us from March, in February, we're slightly underfunded, or we're slightly overfunded. But the caveat to that is I currently have 2 positions that are open. I'm currently interviewing, and I'll probably be hiring 3, maybe 4 people in the next week. The problem is, just like any other fire and EMS agency or EMS agency only, you hire that person today. If they're a treasurer, you could put them with Logan, and Logan could sit right by them. After a week, they kind of have an idea how to do the reports. You release them on their own. In the EMS world, and Buddy is right here, he could tell you he's been a chief. You can't clear that person in a week. You're looking at a month, month and a half, maybe 2, depending on the person. So I'm not going to fix it immediately the day I hire him. It's going to be a couple weeks. So I wouldn't suggest that we change the staffing income right now, but I'd say, you know, as an olive branch, maybe we review it in 6 months after the new budget year and say, is 44.5 per month what we really need? Or can we get away with 40, or do we really need 50? But I think we need to look at least 6 months of funding it, so that we get a true look. I think at one point, Ms. Norton said, you know, at least 3 months. I don't disagree with her. You got to go at least 3, but 6 is probably more.
Who is
Reasonable.
doing y'all billing? Is that y'all, or do y'all have a company that is doing that?
I see right over here, billing expense fees, 26,000.
All of them have, every agency, with the exception of Charlotte County in this region, is paying someone to bill. I think Charlotte and Maharan are billing the same person. Everybody else is paying a third-party biller.
Right.
And what it comes down to is 4%, 5%, 6%, somewhere in there.
5 to 7 is kind of your target window. Yeah, everybody gets a pretty good deal.
I
Right.
think
How come it is if you go to a restaurant or to some truck stops, they can add the 3% back if you use a card versus pay cash, and how come you couldn't add the 5% to the people doing the billing?
you could, but I'll give you an example.
Okay.
We had a transport within the last 3 weeks. They have insurance through the county. Not going too deep into who it is. Their bill for transport was in, don't quote my exact number, $1,156 roughly. We billed it out the way we're supposed to. Their insurance sent us a thing, hey, quick payment, we'll give you $350 some. It's not even 25% of the bill.
Right.
$325 does not cover the cost for me to drive that truck to the ER, use the supplies we use, and drive it back.
So what was y'all's response to that?
So I told them, no, it's just not gonna work. We resent it back to them. They sent us another one back saying, how about 50% of the bill? So I can add 5% all day,
But collecting the student thing.
but collecting that
You're
5%,
lucky if you get the principal, much less.
that's a whole, they immediately jump on it and want to drop it to Medicare's allowable rate, which is nowhere near what the full, yeah, it's what, 70, 80%
That's
maybe of
right.
the bill.
That's right.
And then now you've got this place that says, we want to cut that bill from 100% to 80%, and then we want to cut it 50% of that. You're in a losing business if you're taking those.
Gotcha.
I don't disagree with you. Be nice, in a perfect world, you could roll that credit
But
card
you're
fee
lucky
back.
enough if you collect the other.
You're lucky if you're even collecting 50%.
Any other questions for the good fella before we get to the next appointment?
I don't have anything.
I don't either.
We'll do it up for discussion with the other couple board members. Appreciate what you're doing, Chief.
You cut me 5 minutes.
I didn't cut- I gave
I'm
you-
picking at you.
You cut yourself 5 minutes early from the moment.
No, you cut me. I said, I had from 1 till 2 o'clock. Now you're trying to push them out of here at 10 till.
1:34.
When you go to the office.
You won't come see me.
I come by there yesterday.
They had a nice little pygmy goat right there. You should come and got it. You could tie that in your white flower bed.
She was with me.
Yeah, keep your weeds down.
She was with me. She said, I can't go in there with you to see Bo because I'm gonna wanna buy everything there.
That'd be
Oh,
great.
wait,
He's going along.
2 degrees.
I gotta go in and call my boy and smoke cigarettes.
At least you're doing that all.
Thank you, Brian.
Hey,
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, man.
That's a good call. That's nice. Thank you, sir. Logan, keep up his good work.
Thank you.
This next group coming in, they're a whole lot easier to work with.
Have a good day.
He likes it when I dig in. He wouldn't be gone.
Be good, John.
See you.
Bye, Brian.
You did have that in there, that's good.
I have that for both of the EMSs. I did not have any of that for the fire.
Blackstone didn't do one because they submitted theirs early before I created sheet.
Okay.
So, but I'm gonna try to
Please,
get you
Mike.
on it too. It's still time. 'Cause I think this helps you all.
Right.
Yeah.
This is better than them sending a profit loss statement. Most of those are 20-some pages long.
We collected
When
that.
I made this with Logan's lesson, you only got 3 pages to look at. One for income, 2 for expenses. So I think, and you know what, his numbers.
Is it some money? Why don't I give them 75,000?
This is not
That's
bad.
weird.
I don't have that for
You don't have crew,
NCS.
You see what I'm saying?
They still get
I only
that?
have Brian.
and he never submitted it to me. He never did. I found the email that said that he was gonna send me a spreadsheet.
Right.
Sent the
It was
roster.
money there.
He
One
sent
of
the
the
roster.
questions- one of the questions I had, I saw you had, was what they got back.
I'm sending you an email of what I've got and what I need.
EMS billing recovery, $423,000.
That means when they.
$833.86.
It should be $100,000. Set that.
We did. And I'm
Now,
gonna
now,
guess
this
it's
is
somewhere right
one
now
next
around
one.
6.
So if we collect next time.
Because there's a potential to get 8.
Why don't I give them
Back
75
when,
now?
before,
And 75 when I collect.
they were projected it in budget.
Then they got to- they got to-
22, 23, as about 8, 9.
See, that's what we need to see.
That's right, that's right.
Hey, how are you?
Hey,
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
are we still on?
Yes.
There's my senior buddy, Richard Ingram.
Hey, Evie. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
David come?
Well,
Yeah, David
but if
Drew
they
out
still
there.
be close, if
Brian.
we pay them, she ought to have something sitting down on account.
Oh, we got a baseball bat. Who gonna get hit next? Nicky, you coaching baseball team?
It's gotta be something, it's gotta be.
No, that's Bo's mess. No, EB, I was just telling them a little while ago. School systems don't wanna play Glovic anymore.
What? I don't.
I don't know, I'm gonna find out.
That's stupid.
Tell me about it. That was the same thing I said.
You never heard of that.
I intend on finding out what the deal
Do
is.
those stuff too.
They come from the.
That's a thought, that's a thought.
I really don't reason
Bring them like collected.
I'm gonna come down here to the complex, but there's no field down here with lights.
I
mean, Jordan Wilson's what Coach, looks like, he had told me, I told him, he said, call me, and he said, looks like moving baseball from Glovic is happening a little quicker than planned. I said, really, where they going to? And he said, to the complex. And I said, there are lights there. He said, the new AD proposed to Marcia and Gravely a 3-year plan to move us, and they came back with a 3-month plan.
Right, that's, no, bring it up.
My response was, that makes no
I'm gonna
sense.
get, look, Ms. Logan,
It's the best baseball stadium around here.
let me tell you what I'm trying to
I mean,
They won't really come back and home.
do. Adamant about not getting
and a whole lot of people come back on. I just coached.
Yeah, not just enough.
Well,
I'm gonna find out what's
but they
going
did,
on.
but they
I
didn't
intend
ask
to go
last
down
year.
and go with them and say, hey, look, what's the deal there? You know, makes no sense.
I swear.
It's always some BB, and I was telling about the roof,
So look,
I had to
this is
fight
what I'm
that.
asking.
Freddie Palmer had left and gone,
If they
And
collected taxes.
and I had become a head baseball. So they took the roof off the stadium in Blackstone, which they never should have done. But then they come up to Crew, and I went,
For
no,
one,
no,
I'm
no,
studying.
y'all not taking the roof off.
Underestimate the rest.
So I got a bunch of people together, we went to the
Which
school
one?
board meeting.
I thought he said 5.
Said, look,
I can't remember which one.
you don't realize
I know it's one.
Jewel you got.
But shouldn't.
This was in 76.
treasurer have an account there? You might
And
take
so
all for
The
this.
school board voted 4-1
Everybody's-
not to take the roof off. The guy from Blackstone was really upset. We all talking about it.
Yeah, that's right. But fire department, they got
Other
different.
rep on the school board from Blackstone.
Well, then, suppose it's $100,000
People in
sitting in
Crew
that
care
account.
about their field.
Then why don't I pay
Talk
75
to us.
this fiscal year?
So he voted,
Budget 75.
leave a
next
roof
year.
in Galooby. But look, if you go down the third baseline in Galooby,
What I did, I
you
just.
look on
I
the
just
left-hand
called
side,
this
you'll see
week.
one section of that roof already come off. Like,
It's not like
hey, guys.
That's right.
See, he was
But-
the
I'm
maintenance
trying to get them
guy. He
to-
wanted to put up with it.
You could do it as caregivers.
Yes,
Paying it off.
Yep.
Find out what you-
but I need to find, but I'm trying to find out how much is any money in that. How much is there?
Can be done with that stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a nice stadium now.
But wouldn't Tammy have to keep that separate?
Modified a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's been, but you don't see the revenue side. You don't know
Years
the
ago, I know at one time they talked about asphalt and parking.
on the revenue. I don't know, the same. You paid all the bills, so I'll give you that.
Gravel's only need.
No, you would have to take what you spent.
Yeah, spend that money.
He's right.
And, and we were talking to George Chanel saying, and I agree with you. One thing that needs to come to you, play baseball, they need to take out the press box. Because that's inside the wall. If you took that down, moved it all the way around, perfect.
Yeah, you see what I'm trying to do?
Either one of these.
Sometimes you just smile. Then you go to the rest.
Everybody else.
I know this guy, Dickie Ingram.
I'm Andrew Monroe.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Guys, we're live, by the way.
How you doing, sir?
How you, sir? Which one?
Yeah,
Oh, with the,
with the knife.
at the Paul Roberts.
Okay.
Yeah, right there on Steve Spring. I killed that one during most of the season.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the last week of most of the
Yeah.
Stepped out
In my
right,
neck of the woods.
stepped out right there before dark and did
Okay.
the wrong thing.
You took care of it.
Yep. He's pretty good too.
Hey, David. How you doing, buddy? Good. Well, good.
Did you get that email? The one this morning where you said you didn't get that one? Sorry about
On the
that.
roster here.
For the roster and the last form.
I just wanted you to look at the roster to make sure it looks good.
Yeah, and that's of course that you can go over to Christian too.
Yeah, Christie can use that too. That was the idea of making a good roster sheet so we can have a one-use sheet.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Showing your life numbers and all that. I didn't look at the emails. If it's best as 12 o'clock, I haven't looked at it. But I did have your,
Third,
I had the call, total costs right here.
Okay.
Got some very good from her, and they have now this roster here. I said, that's the one.
Clean you out. Yeah, clean you out.
We were talking about any of that stuff. I didn't know if we were. It don't hit
Just
quick,
money.
but
But
when you feel it.
this ties to the budget.
Yeah.
We just wanted to
You
have
feel the
it.
rumble, right?
And the only thing I didn't get from you, just talking about it is.
I don't know about experience, but the other one.
She needs. I don't think you sent it to.
We
You just
got
did
it
it.
just a little while
You just
ago.
did it,
That
okay.
You got two of these, but you didn't, you got
Okay.
not this one, but you got the.
Maybe we make copies of that. Just make copies of that.
Like I said, y'all got this one and you got the.
We got
roster.
that.
You
This
didn't
don't
get
take me
this
no.
one, right.
You want me to make,
Yeah.
you just finished it a while ago?
We said,
I'll tell her to make copies.
That's right, that's right.
That was your itemized.
And sorry, Cheryl thought we would send that.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we gotta ride around again. I've been with him once.
And it should be in your email too.
Landfill.
I mean, you've got access, but I'm
We
not.
got another point. I got that. He showed me a lot already.
And I've got 3
He done
copies.
hunted already. He says, he's not
You got a
kidding
long
you.
way to go soon.
See, he and my brother were like this.
That's what your brother, that's what,
Yeah.
that's what your brother did.
He was,
What
you
he
know,
said.
I graduated in
Before I even started.
66, he graduated in 69. We buried him together.
Yeah, that's what he said.
You know, that yard.
I mean, he pointed from his yard, but you know, and that was his old grandma's home place.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we did, we thought we did, and for some reason that wasn't attached to the other email.
So straight down the
I
end.
know, it's pretty tough.
Did y'all go for see the people in the trailer?
I went up there before I got there, they happened not to be there, but it's, you can tell somebody lived there.
Sure.
I thought my time was
One call was that, one about it, the other
Let
person.
me see if she sent it, it's in your email
You
right
see,
there. I
yeah,
don't know if she sent it to Logan or not. I know
I think
she sent it.
behind both of us won't be able to print it.
No, I didn't see it.
And I've got
He
3
wants to do
copies
next
now.
time.
I've got,
You get on
got a
this,
copy, Drew's got a copy.
His mule right around, showing some of that stuff, and then he's gonna get in the pit. Yeah, he said the cemetery is right behind that.
Yeah, yeah.
The furthest trailer from the road.
Right.
That's what he told me. And we went right in and see it. But anyway, I'm
Like
gonna
I
come
said, I
back
thought
and
that
get it.
they were,
Yeah, he's pretty sharp on
it was
there.
in there, somehow
That's
or
his-
other that.
that's
one
his
didn't
lay of the land.
attach The
Oh, yeah.
breakdown.
It's, it was a little, it's new to me, but it was late his name, you know.
See, you went fishing the other day.
You saw the
Yeah.
first bridge you get to.
Good day on Friday and
Yeah.
still a good day Sunday, but
There ain't much of a bridge.
a lot
You
better
get away
fish
from
on
the-
Friday.
I know.
Worse weather.
Right.
It's swamp down there.
Cloudy,
I can
windy.
tell you some stories about that
cold.
bridge.
All right,
Real
well,
good.
listen to that.
Hey, we used to, well,
That's right.
you ever heard of Sugar Hill?
Yeah,
See, Sugar Hill was on that hill right there, and we used to sleigh ride down. to
that's
that
a
bridge.
mountain, but
And then Billy Hood had him, drugs bug, and we'll go quick. and
he pulled
He
you.
pulled us back up the hill, we go back.
Yes. Yeah, you,
I know,
yeah, I heard that, I heard that.
I've been in. He took them, I thought, all the other day. Yeah. This happened.
You throw that away for?
Day before yesterday.
Put that
Two
over
different
there.
hospitals, see 3 different doctors, and the last one is now San Antonio. Yeah, wait till Monday.
That's a disciplinary action.
Told us to keep doing what we did, so you know.
Was calling me about getting them to stay down there.
He was trying to be nice to
And then they moved me straight on my sand bicycle, because
he
something
told
happened.
me
I got your head. I
I
thought
think
you
they
were.
would have told him that. I
We
gave
still
him.
live.
I can't wait to keep
Are we
stepping up for
live?
31 hours straight.
Are we
They
live?
ended up sending
Yes,
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta be a good boy.
None of this.
Hey, just so y'all know, y'all's time slotted was from 2 to 3 o'clock. Nobody else got that long up yonder. It was 10, 15, 20, and 30 minutes. So we're gonna hold you to that.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Fisher? I mean, EB. Good to see you, sir. Help yourself to any candy that you like.
You got, several Crew High School graduates.
That's right, White.
Crew high school graduates.
Yeah.
Old school graduates.
And that was before Will was.
That's when y'all was running calls with that wagon. and a horse pulley.
That's true. See, happy wrangling them boys around.
Yeah. How much money y'all want?
And how much do you gotta have, really, that you would take for it?
The numbers from last year, we're working on trying to keep the numbers right there, the same as last year. With the contribution for operations, it's 750,000, and of course, the contributions equipment of 170,000. To maintain the level of service that we're content doing right now. Then, of course, towards the end of the year, some of those things can change next year as we get into this. You know, we talked about Fat C a little bit in the revenue that we receive from them that you'll see in the figures here, and I can break that down a little bit. But, you know, call volume wise, the service is still being requested at the same or more than it has in the past. It typically never goes down. It always either stays pretty flat or goes up for us. And I'm sure our neighbors to the west are saying the same thing as well, so. And like I said, you know, when you break it down, and of course, the good part about us sitting here with you is we have two representatives here that serve on the advisory board with us and get to hear stuff on a monthly basis as well, knowing payroll, expenditures, what's coming in, what's going out, and the issues monthly as well. So hopefully, Mr. Ingram, they're keeping you informed
Right,
at
they
that
are.
level as well. So. And as you look this over, of course, you know, any questions you have, as far as these monies or any clarification on anything as far as breakdowns, like especially your contract services at Fast C, you see what we take in, and basically I can tell you how much is revenue that's generated revenue back to the bottom line as well. So, which ends up being this past year, 368,000 of that little over 1 million we took in after we paid expenses. We make about 368,000 last year. And of course, that waxes and wanes based upon each invoice every month is a little different, as the folks on the advisory board can tell you. Revenue recovery, you'll see that line item. That has been doing really good over the past year. Our billing company that we use, we're extremely pleased with. As a matter of fact, our neighbors to the west have started using that same company now.
Hey, David, how much was the payment for the billing company?
I see it right here. I guess it is.
What number is
The
it?
breakdown.
Billing service fees,
Yep, which number is that?
What number is it?
43.
Number 4.
Number
Number 4.
Yeah.
Accounting services?
No. Number
Number
six.
CMS
Number
billing
6.
service.
Number 6.
Yeah, number 6.
And they charge about 5%, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So if it was 10%, you would have collected, $800,000, right?
No,
Go you backwards.
Yeah, advanced accuracy.
they just take 5% of you. If you collect $1 million, they get 5% to collect $1 million for you.
Right.
That's right.
And like I say, our average.
Right, but I was trying to go by what they collected, by what they charged, to see if that.
Oh, I
number
see,
matched.
you would make it down charges.
You're algebra buff.
Exactly.
Reverse
And so if they
calculation.
charge 10%, then you would double that number, so I'm doing it in my head, y'all go ahead.
You-
That's how I
No,
do it.
your income would be less if they charged you
Less than
10%.
10%, yes.
Yeah, but I was just trying to see what that income number was. Best thing, what I'm saying is I've done it in my head at 10, because I knew what that was automatically rather than 5.
Yeah, it's been a
So I divided it in
438,000.
I'll explain it to you later.
And like I say, what I was saying as well, our contract services, we build, the amount we build out minus that 5%. And then that's not necessarily what we collect, because we only typically collect about, you know, on a good month, 60% of what we bill out.
What you realize, okay.
But they can't charge you on the 5% that you don't collect, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it goes back to.
The only
It's
charge
only
you on what you
5% of collection. Correct. And so with that being said, like I say, our average monthly revenue, which averages out about 54,000 a month in collected revenue. There's some months that is higher, but over the course of the year, it equals out to about 54,000 average per month. Like I said, this past month, we had a really good month, 73, almost 74,000 in collections, but you'll have those weird months right there, especially when Medicare and some of those
Right.
entities start doing their end of year or end of fiscal.
Right.
You get some really slack months on when you're getting revenue coming in from those federal agencies. So it might dwindle down to pennies versus what you were seeing thousands.
You ain't saying the federal government's slacking.
They're closed down.
I's dotted and T's crossed in their way.
Right.
All right, I think somebody asked this question, you know, fire departments. Have y'all seen a decrease in donations?
Yes, we've seen it over the last
Several years.
I mean, but when we put this levy in, you know, a lot of people say, well, I'm not giving more money to, you know.
And I'll be honest, you can look at our stuff from last year and this year, we get little to nothing in true physical donations anymore.
Right.
And that's because people, and I understand this, you're billing for my call when I call you. And so I'm not donating anything. And of course, I understand our taxpayers and y'all's constituents. I understand, and we listen and try to answer as best we can to those concerns and make people and educate the citizens on what it is that we do, how we do it, how we get to that end result, so that they do have questions. It's something that
I get them on the phone.
I'm sure. Yes, sir.
But people don't understand the way this thing has to be.
Well,
Like one of the fire chiefs was saying, when they dial 911, they expect somebody to come.
well, and that's the thing, the user of the service.
Exactly.
A lot of people had the mindset, I should only have to pay for that service when I utilize the service.
That's right.
They don't think about that other time, and again, that is just the mindset. And, that is what it is, and that comes with the territory. We just gotta kind of answer it when we answer it. And I'm sure y'all seeing the different public forums that people put out that don't have quite the understanding of what we do, how you do it, and to make sure that there are people there to provide that service when the person that needs it.
Right.
Briefly touched on it with the fire departments. This is request driven. When the people pick the phone up, we need 3 ambulances 24/7 because of the demand of the citizens.
Yep.
This is not something you guys asked for. This is not something the county asked for. This is something the citizens are asking for.
Well, that's based upon the citizens' demand for the
Right,
service.
exactly.
And that's stuff that me and Buddy have worked on, over the last several years to and that's why we say minimum 3, and I'll tell you, perfect storm this week. We had, the system went kind of nuts on Monday, and we were calling in mutual aid from neighboring counties between Amelia and Prince Edward County with Maharan and Amelia. And then, of course, other agency working on getting staffing in for that day. And this kind of parlays back to some of the stuff we talked about last year. They were coming back up to staffing for the evening, but the 2 people they had coming in, one of them was on the Maharan truck, the other one was on the Amelia truck that were coming in to be in Nottoway. So they were taking off t-shirts, put a different t-shirt on for the evening. And then we marked up a 3rd truck with Drew and another provider we called in, plus still had 2 other counties. And then, of course, and like talking to Chief Welch, she said, like yesterday, I had an extra crew in here between my volunteer and my paid staff, didn't have any calls. The next day went nuts. So that 3 is the bare minimum need of this county. There are days we could put 5 or 6 on the road and they probably stay busy. We're working our people certain days, but that's the 911 beast. You don't, you can try to predict it, but
And it can be a little bit, but not entirely.
yes,
Right.
Hey, number 14, billing recovery. We'll go back, I'll emphasize what I was talking about.
All right.
You got $702,569.
Mhm.
And your company that's been doing a good job collecting for you charges 5%, right?
5%.
All right, then if you go back over to the other sheet, then you get your EMS billing service fees was $43,824 is what they charge.
Yep.
Okay, if they would have only got 5% or gotten 5%, their collection amount should have been $860,000 instead of 702.
Well, and I need to look at our numbers to make sure difference between fiscal year and calendar year and how it was worked too. So that's something I'd have to
To
work
be
with.
sure that the billing company was on the same.
On the same, that might be where that difference of what you're seeing as far as that discrepancy as well.
Okay,
For the 702,
I'd be
looking
curious
at-
to that because they might be overcharging.
Does that have anything, do they do anything for Fast C though?
no,
Okay.
Fast C is
That's
even,
contract.
even,
Right.
because we actually had a few billing snafus with them, we had to pull back out of the system. Some of the folks that we transported out there's no billing to their insurance or anything that accidentally went through. So we had to pull those and actually do a couple of refunds during the year
I saw that.
because they don't actually get billed for those calls because that's encompassed within the contract itself.
That's about $157,000 difference. That's what I want to be sure that they treat you fairly on your percentage.
And I'll make sure that I get the answer to that to make sure the difference between fiscal and so forth.
He's doing his algorithm thing.
Mr. Ingram, teach you for
Got
me.
that algebra straight?
I was doing it in my head, Mr. Ingram, the only way I know how, till they come out with this dumb phone.
You just that right
Yeah, I'll put you on.
I seen that earlier on the video. I said, oh, wow, folks got the that in there today.
That's the key. I'm timekeeping.
He's just charging it on.
That's exactly right.
700,
Yeah,
yeah,
versus the,
that's the calendar year.
yeah, and that's how you talk with Cheryl and look at the numbers on, and that could be the difference. in it. Yeah. Any other line items, any?
Discrepancy line item 55. I know we had talked about, getting that reduced significantly. In fact, I said one of my boys would like to have that little contract and charge 50%.
That particular line item, contract ends in October of this year.
Okay.
Okay, I knew we had talked about it.
And will be addressed at that time to what we're gonna do. And, those of you that just met him today, Drew Module, our EMS operations director, has already kind of addressed that and has a plan for that item come October.
There's no way of getting out of that contract before October without being a.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I've asked and they said, no, there you go.
Okay. Ain't no cutting on insurance. Have you shopped insurance, Drew, since you've been on board?
No, sir, I have not done insurance. Lila or the business
And
manager. handles that.
those insurances, which line item?
I was just looking on, 24.
Let me see which one.
Auto.
that'd be the vehicles.
And of course, it goes with the amount and quantity of vehicles. And of course, other agencies might not have as many as us. They look at ambulances different, and we're actually, I'm pretty sure in this whole area, using the same firm that specializes
In that.
for us.
Okay.
So you kind of
Stuck with them, but it might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, too, I mean, like the uniforms, I'm sure y'all are looking at all of that too.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, and the good thing, that's not an expense to hit you every year. We
Right.
usually have enough stock and inventory, that we can, if something wears out or something, we're apt to get stuff on us that a uniform's gotta get thrown away on a daily basis.
So one thing that I don't wanna get missed here is this is, for 25, this is not.
Yes,
The
and
request.
like I say, everything
numbers
is,
have changed.
and that's why we say what our request is trying to stay, we feel like we can stay at those numbers for this coming year as well. Of course, knowing there's always unforeseens, but we hope we don't have any real cushion built in here. And of course, we've talked about it in our monthlies, when we talk about it at the end of the day and what our current checking account balance looks like, you back out that 170 that's already earmarked that's sitting there waiting on our new ambulance, which we just got notified yesterday has gotten pushed back till April of 2027 at this point.
One thing we said, we ain't got no cushion, but one thing to keep in mind with the number of call outs that every department experiences, if they call out, you ain't having to pay them. And if you budget to pay them, then you can set that money to the side and hopefully it will lessen the amount that's needed at the end of the year, beginning of the following.
Well, and it can have a double-edged sword if they do call out.
Then you have to get
We
somebody to
try
pay
to
them
backfill
overtime.
it there and
But sometimes you
overtime.
can't do it. So
Sometimes,
therefore, you're gonna have a little bit of reserve out.
and usually it's the better of the two we're able to fill it versus the times that we can't fill it because of the need for the county. We want to have that.
You want to have
Trucks in
that. We
place,
need them.
yes.
Yeah. Y'all got anything else for me? We're gonna get them out early in the evening, I believe. Y'all guys got anything else you wanna?
And like I said, as you know, and we appreciate the relationship with
Likewise.
y'all there every month because I think that's important to the education of this board and what you can take to your constituents and again, the citizens, because I know this is definitely a hot button item
It is,
that everybody,
but it's also a hot button item that we need.
and it's,
No,
and
absolutely.
it's this way everywhere.
Mhm.
And you guys ain't riding no white horse and wearing a mask. Every locality is dealing with the same thing.
I
That's
appreciate
why we
you.
decided to do this
Get
too.
live.
Yeah, and that's
So
definitely,
that's, people can see it and hear it with their own eyes.
Right.
and always to you and the citizens, our doors are always open as well to educate them so they can come by, see equipment, give them an idea of what everything costs to go in, out the door. Drew's always, when he's there, he's available for the same, right down to seeing the books and the numbers.
Well, I did make a plea to the citizens earlier when the fire department was in here, because I found now I'm not kidding, a $2 million savings. I'm not kidding. If everybody in this county would behave themselves and not get arrested, they wouldn't go to Piedmont Regional Jail and cost us $2 million a year. And that is self-discipline and to keep your taxes down. $2 million later.
And again, that's the part of the citizens using that service versus.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
yeah, you're right.
And one thing and y'all probably know this, but I'm gonna lay it out there to you. EMS, ever since I've been involved in it, is a 24/7 operation.
Yeah.
We never sit still.
Right.
I've had people come to me in the past say, well, your ambulances. I said, well, they don't call.
Yeah,
I said, they don't sit there and not do anything. Well, the building is empty. I said, it's a reason for it being empty.
Exactly.
I said, taking care of the sick and injured.
Yeah.
I said, that's the way EMS is. And,
Like I said, Monday, we had 6 ambulances on the road, Nottoway did, between our contract services and 911, along with 6 ambulances and the QRV.
Look, just remember this in y'all's request here, make sure nobody's eating ever, anywhere, that they cannot eat, they're not allowed to eat, but I'll buy them lunch every once in a while. And note the sarcasm here, folks.
Well, all I'll say to that is I appreciate the citizens that answered up to that in a very common sense way.
Right.
And I encourage that citizen, again, come talk to us, come
Right.
ask us
I actually
questions.
tried to reach out to that citizen, and they didn't provide a telephone number on the paper.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, but I wanted to tell them that they could respond from a restaurant.
I'll be more
And
than
as far as
happy
going to
talk
Walmart, if they staying up there, they need to make groceries and they can respond from Walmart as well.
Well, like I said,
I mean,
I
they
looked at some
respond
of those
anyway.
responses and there were good responses.
They were
by-
good responses.
By the EMS
Yeah.
people that did respond, not from
Yeah.
just this locality. I've seen multiple jurisdictions, folks that did respond to that, as well as citizens. And like I said, it was all done professionally. Nobody got mad at anybody.
That's the way to
And
do
like I
it.
said, that's the way I like to see them, but they all addressed it in a good common sense way. And that's the reason
Well, we don't have to worry about it. If they get to driving fast, we just clean the eggs up when they turn on. I mean, no big deal.
I will say, I guess since we're on TV or live,
Yeah.
EMS week is May the 17th through the 23rd.
And
The plan for us is to have an open house at the Blackstone station and possibly the cruise station to open it up for the citizens to come in. We will announce it on Facebook. Things like that will be set in advance.
That's good.
But it should hopefully be that week. That's what we're shooting for. And they can all come in and ask the questions.
Is the advisory board invited to that?
yes, sir.
All right, I just tried.
You think you'll have refreshments?
As long as they have free coffee.
I'll be there. You a good guy.
That's right.
You know what I'm gonna do with that? I'm gonna eat it on the way home. But I'm not gonna do it till I get in my truck.
But like I say, that open house is gonna cover all aspects,
Yeah,
like I said, right from down, and me and Drew been talking, when you walk in, there's gonna be a monitor sitting there with a price tag on it. So you know what it costs
It's gonna
you,
be really informational.
really informational,
That's what
right
it is.
down to my business
What
person's
Q&A
gonna be there with the books to go, this is what the average, and we won't see names or anything for
Right.
HIPAA issues, but if you call this service, this is what an average cost of a transport
Yeah.
costs, that we will bill your insurance for. We'll talk about some of the ones when people talk about them, the non-transports, the public assist. We're still paying our providers to be active. So while you're seeing that bill that does come for that and the expectation there, and hopefully we're not easing the cost, but hopefully easing the understanding of why the
Easing the
cost
pain.
is there.
And we might, Andrew, we might put on the county website about the EMS week.
We should.
Seventeenth
And
the open house.
23rd.
We
Yeah,
did.
open house.
Yeah, we used to put it.
And also what it takes to learn how to operate this equipment. It's not a one-time thing. It's annual, so we have to train our employees annually to make sure they're competent to get the newest things and to learn the newest treatments to provide the best treatment.
Hey,
for
wonder
our
if you could incorporate a job fair in with that thing. I mean, seriously,
Oh, there will be applications there.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
there you go. Maybe a job fair.
But here's the other thing citizens really need to be aware of as well. Let's pretend there's $0 revenue recovery. $2.2 million is what we gotta have based on the demand of the citizens
That's right.
right now.
Yep.
That's what we would have to tax and provide for their costs.
And like I say, right now, the way we're doing it, it's being even a little cheaper than what that is
That's
based
right.
upon
Yeah.
the revenue recovery piece.
Right.
The little bit of revenue we're able to get through Fast C, which again, reminder that August 6th is the date right now that goes away unless something changes. It's been kept moved out a little bit based upon some federal government issues. Right now, August the 6th is the destined date for our last day out.
Oh, I got an idea that it could be long,
It could be, yeah, you're right.
but we don't know that.
Yeah.
But the money's nice to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
that's like you
And Drew, when he started a little while ago, actually had more hair than he's got now. He's
I saw it 2 months
definitely,
ago.
he's definitely understanding. I can tell you that it's a challenge staffing out there.
He's
sure
lost
it is.
he's lost the whole mullet.
So,
David might be.
Did you say mother or mother?
To invite Drew to a board meeting, introduce him
That'd be a pregnant
and,
idea.
and tell the staff, tell the citizens why you got hired and what you're running up against, you know. I think that's, if y'all okay with that, I think it's very good.
The only thing I'm regretful on working with Drew so far is I didn't have part of his hiring, because I think it was a great hire.
Well, thank you. I just love the job.
Well, you be all right with that, Drew? We figured that out?
Yes, sir. Just tell me the date. Let me mark it down.
We'll get you in early, like maybe right before the delegates of the public or right after.
Something like
Please before the delegation.
You never know what you're gonna hear on that.
That's right.
and I'll make sure that he writes down and gives out his accolades the way they need to be done, because they are a good list. And he is a great acquisition for the county for hopefully now into the distant future as well.
Good.
So we have crunched some of those numbers, myself, that's 2 people.
And I,
Yeah, and I, right?
Pretty nice.
Morgan Quick as well as Logan, so they asked for pretty much this last year, I think, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
If you give them exactly what they want, let me, that's the wrong way I should phrase that. If you give them what is needed, you're looking at make possibly 4 cents. And y'all, and we didn't go up that high. Some people said we should have went up higher when we did, but we didn't. Anyway, so I'm just being totally transparent. That's what we're up against.
but again, I don't want this to be misunderstood. I'm not telling the citizens not to call 911. What I'm saying is, this is based solely on the demand for the service by the citizens. It's not up to us or y'all, because legally you can't disseminate what is frivolous.
Exactly.
You know, with all the patient refusals and
And
stuff
I've
like that.
heard a lot of that about, well, can't you just say we're not going?
No,
When you call 911, your emergency is your emergency.
that's right.
And we've got to get there and assess that. Now, we can make recommendations to say, if you want to go on your own, we think you'll be okay. Once there's a trained EMS professional at that patient's side that can help them make that informed decision on their own. But if you call, we haul. If you want to go to the hospital, we're going to get you to the closest appropriate hospital. And
Right.
sometimes people don't like to hear those words.
Right.
But closest appropriate can mean a lot of things, depending on what's going on with each individual patient, what staff you have currently on that particular ambulance. It's a constant evolving thing. And like I said, again, that comes with education from every aspect, from us doing the job to you guys who are helping and understanding the funding of the job, to the citizens who are helping pay for that dime, that need to understand what we do as well at this level, because it's gotten that involved.
Well, I'm good, guys.
I am too. Thank
Hey,
you.
I heard that motto before. You call,
We haul.
that's in the livestock business and if you're home business. So man, it's 3 that I can contribute to.
You got anything you can do at the stockyard?
Yeah, I can help you pin them goats and hogs if you come up and help.
I thought he was gonna need you this morning when he came in here limping.
Oh man, I got hurt yesterday.
He got kicked by a cow yesterday.
Big time. Last night by 2 o'clock in the morning.
What'd y'all pay the county?
Sound like a
I wanna
shotgun.
go, I wanna go buy that cow and keep it in my basket. I don't want that cow to go to Ham. I don't want that one to go to Hamburg.
Well, I can't cut too much though.
One thing I'd like to say before we leave, I know we started this, partnership a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And, that was when we were in bad financial shape.
Yep.
And I appreciate the partnership that we joined together to do this, so the people in this county can have immediate ambulance.
Right.
And I appreciate everything y'all have done. I know I'm an old hand in EMS, but, you know, I never thought it was gonna ever get to that part,
Right.
but, you know, the evolution, things
Right.
change.
Right. Change, no doubt.
But I want to let y'all know that I appreciate everything that y'all have done.
We thank you for what you've done over the years.
Amen.
Amen.
Can't thank you enough.
I ain't been but good 5 years.
That's right. That's right.
Is that rookie status, Amy?
Sir.
Is that rookie status?
Dog years.
More than that.
Yeah. But, you could probably remember when I got into it when I was a sophomore in high
That's
school.
right. I used to tell them that when I was in school, and I remember that fire siren would go off. Guys would run out the building, the crew.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And
take
jump
up
in.
the street.
Yep. Chuck Shorter.
Yeah.
Lord Chuck would be.
They
We used to
changed
watch
it,
it.
changed it. When I came through, they made it, it had to be the second tone. In other words, but even back then, if you didn't get enough help, because I guess too many of them were running out of school at that point.
Oh, they were
Changed-
running, and let me
they
tell you,
changed it.
they could hear the siren, they didn't have pages. They could hear the siren.
We
going.
could lean on the second tone.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think they had pages back in the day. I don't think so. It was just a,
It's called
Plectron.
yeah, that's
But they weren't pages. I mean, they was at home when you couldn't take them with you.
right. Right, yeah. I can see them right now. We had study hall in the cafeteria through high school. And Chucky was in the cafeteria, and that siren went off, and he went out that door. Wow! You could see him running, you know, where the two buildings were connected, running through there, heading uptown. That siren fires at the police station.
He didn't make as much money yesterday as he thought it was.
We'll
Good
do.
stuff. That's good stuff.
Like I said, I
Remember that.
really,
I'm good.
thanks to
Monday, what time?
I know we've all been through a lot.
Oh,
It's all that transpired.
Yep.
Just come in next month.
Hey, if it ends the meeting, I think it about ends the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So we can undo the live stream, right?
We got 10 more minutes, Buddy, we were gonna, fit Buddy in between, but it kinda ran.
Oh, Buddy.
So, Buddy's got. 10
All right. Your 10 minutes gonna start in 2 minutes.
Most said back.
Let me borrow that
Yeah,
battery.
we used to, maybe don't know where it's video, or maybe just do this, see some stuff going on.
Whoever's gonna be.
Is this something for,
break it
He was in his truck, and Bo went out there snooping around the family in his truck and said, hey, can I have it?
Yeah, I think I said some detail.
I checked everybody's business for narcotics. I didn't find none, so I got to do that.
We can ride together. We can all
Second
get the
Tuesday,
call.
third Tuesday.
Few
Second Tuesday, yeah, 14th will be second, yeah.
So good, we can shoot up 460, get off and go to the courthouse.
It's super hot. That'll burn your lips off.
Thank you.
How would y'all need it?
Thank y'all.
Yeah, I keep it on my calendar.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Take care.
Appreciate y'all.
Hey, did I give you the top for it? It's right over there by the machine on the right.
Hey, let me ask you a quick question.
The girl, they keep us nice and stock. I like it.
No, I want you to tell me.
Hey,
Can I transfer?
3 cups.
There,
I
it's
had 2
already in
pots.
there.
Yeah, I've already had a pot.
We got 2 minutes to do both.
Yeah, I did.
Trying to clean the sink off.
Thank you, Dave. Take care.
Y'all welcome.
I
That's thank you. And I asked her name, but I'm sure I didn't get it. She had-
Don't hug
Leave
him.
these
Don't.
Give me Andrew.
Yes,
See you later, buddy. Yeah,
Oh,
buddy.
yeah.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Sir. I think we got everything straight too. I got Brian to talk to Theo.
I'll stay over here.
We just went over there doing something else. Great opportunity. Yeah, it's all good. And when Brian said. They have.
Okay.
And I suppose.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, soon enough.
Take their radio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's what we're pushing to do. I think we're gonna try to push that with the board that I talked to. Yeah, that way all the ambulances, process the same way.
Did he tell you Thea's will be the one that goes with you on the radio inspections? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both, John. Good seeing you guys.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you for your time to get up there.
I'll let you know. Okay. All right, thanks, EB.
All right, buddy, you said.
Here you go. I think I can, 10 minutes, and I've got 2 sheets to go over. I've got my budget, and I've got the 911 budget. This is to match what Logan is giving you, which is the budget request. Budget request is a little hard to read, you know.
Yeah.
So, but the numbers match, so if you want to lay them side by side, but that budget sheet that you have that Logan sent you, what I do is I keep this as a worksheet for myself. Logan will tell you, I'm in my budget every week. I'm watching it, looking at it, and trying to, you know, make it easy to read. So the main thing I wanted to mention to you is we're all trying to stay level funded. But the reason there's an increase here is the first yellow bar is we actually have software platforms for the county. And we have about 3 platforms that these agencies you just met with use. I don't use them, but I manage them. I have an administrative login, and we buy it through centralized purchase and get a discount. So we're saving taxpayers money by buying centralized purchase. And we did that about 2 to 3 years ago. So the increase to 50,000 is based on the state paid for some of this on EMS, and now they're not going to pay for it anymore. Now I got a grant last year to tie us over for year 1, but we knew the intention was to throw it back on the locality. And that's what we're doing here is we're putting 15,000 extra in there so that if that grant doesn't come available, we'll have to absorb it.
Right.
Now, if that grant becomes available, then you're looking at that reduction to back about 35,000. So what I'd like to do is have it in there anyway. And then if we get the grant, fine, and you'll know if we do, if it's even a grant coming out. The other thing is really important here. And Logan and I went over this line by line. There's an increase in line of duty coverage.
Look, what number you on?
I'm on line 7.
Okay.
There's an increase in line of duty coverage, which is nothing we can do. That's VRS. And line of duty coverage is on myself and Jimmy. So that's a necessary thing. Then you go down to, of course, the first yellow bar I mentioned was an increase based on the software increase. That's out of our control. And then the next increase, everything you'll see that's level funded going down. I did increase just slightly, like a couple $100, I think, for uniform and apparel in case something, you know, we damage something out here, you know, wear and turn out gear or whatever. We need to rebuy the shirt or whatever. Everything else is level, and then you come on down to the yellow bars again. Now, the yellow bars, they're all level funded, and they go to the departments, line 33 through 38.
No, but 30 as well.
Correct. And while I'm talking about the yellow bars, this is really important for you and the other board members and Steve and the public, very important to the public, is look down at the bottom of the page on line 47 and just follow it over to the right-hand side. And I have an explanation on what the yellow adds up to be. That 94,500 that's in my budget does not come to my direct expense. It is not for my shop. It is for the 4 agencies that just met with you. So we're benefiting them $94,500 in my budget because of those centralized purchases. Case in point, let's look at the yellow bars really quick. Training and exercises, that's for everybody. The operational medical director, Dr. Eggleston, that's for everybody. The recruitment and retention program, that's for everybody. And also the Knox box maintenance program, that's for everybody. So all those yellow bars, as well as the training center. And the training center, I do want to talk with you about that a little bit. 10,000 is what we were funded last year. This was something that we've been trying for several years to get in place as sustained funding. Now, we went ahead and asked for additional 5, but I think we understand if we can't do the additional 5, but what we would love to do is sustain the money to this, because this is a county training center, and we're using it Saturday. Having everybody in the county come Saturday, we're having a burn day. And we've been using it a lot. And of course, in-county uses it for free.
Y'all just
Out of
use it
county
for the
charges.
kids too at school, didn't you?
That's correct. We took the Nottoway High School there. Yep. Devin Foster and his group and his instructors, we all went there. So this is a public safety for the whole county. And that's what that line item is. And the departments that agreed to put that in my budget because if it went in Blackstone's budget, it would look like they have an additional 10.
Well, that's what I was going, just get to me to ask you. So if we go back and study this a little bit more, there's none of this has been cross-referencing what I call double dipping, is it?
That's correct.
You gonna check that?
Yes,
Okay,
I check it every week.
okay. good.
And basically, well, it's really checked at the beginning of the year and it's built into the budget. So once we build it into the budget, knowing those checks and balances, we don't have to worry about it because there's no money being passed for the training. The training is being, the burn building is funded on the front end, and we have a partnership with Blackstone.
Mhm.
And so the MOU.
By the way, what's in that burn building to make it burn? Because concrete don't burn.
No, we use pallets, state law makes you use pallets and straw. So we.
Okay, I
so-
often wonder that.
So if you ever have bales of straw, we like regular hay.
Square bale.
Yeah, donate to us.
Okay,
We can use straw. We
okay,
use a lot of straw. They can only let you use Class A materials.
okay.
Yeah, but the building won't burn. So that's, those are the yellow bars. Again, the slight increase there to the burn building. What we're trying to do is match Blackstone. And what Philip Van Orvik's gonna do, and Lee Williams, Lee is overseeing this down from Blackstone, is we want to get an actual spreadsheet on what they do for us. Now, last year when I presented it to you, it goes ahead and talks about it. They do lawn and driveway care. They do the pond maintenance. They do water line and hydrant maintenance. They're going to extend the water line at their cost to put 2 more hydrants there this year. So these are matching costs that Blackstone puts into the facility. So what we're trying to do is just, in restroom maintenance and supplemental funding, is what we're trying to do is find a sweet spot so that if, say, Philip and the guys put in 12,000 a year, can we somehow do 12 a year? And it just uses that partnership in an equal way. And that's coming from the fire chiefs and all of us sitting at the table. And that's really what we want to do. And it may be a number we grow into, but we would love to sustain at 10,000 at least that we put in there last year. That worked a lot, worked to the good of the building. And then basically, as you go down through, there's really no new line items. We kind of kept the budget the same, but again, I think that's very telling. That budget, a lot of times, and I think Logan also has the $1 million grant in my budget line. I think it's on your sheet. So just want the public to know that our department does not have a $1.3 or $4 million budget. It basically has that grant. It had to have a place to money come in and money go out. So that's basically a wash. And we may have another one. We hope that other 1.3 comes in. So
Be great.
it would be, but it'll be a wash. It wouldn't be money that's helping Buddy or money that's helping Jimmy or money that's helping the 4 agencies that just met with you. It would be,
What are you helping us?
it would be incidentally helping. It would be helping them through the radio system.
Right.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
But if one of my sheets might be like missed out of place, it says emergency service at the top. It had mentioned on there, needed justification, description, emergency vehicle with a transfer towing capability equipped with emergency light.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna get to that one. That's,
Okay, I'm
so-
jumping ahead.
Well, that's not on this sheet. That's in the capital improvement. That's not on this sheet. Because This is my regular operational day to
I
day.
see.
So in the package that Logan sent out to you on that second page I believe it's the second page. I'm not sure the order of them, but it's the one you're talking about.
The one
next to the last.
very next to the last.
So what I did was, we do need a truck at some point. We need a truck to tow these trailers with because we're always asking somebody. Joey's been really good about towing that emergency services trailer to us from here to wherever we need it. So we always have to have something with a hitch, and we also have a need to haul some supplies around like hazmat. We have a hazmat call, and say the truck is already there, the crew. But I need to run it to the LRA, and I know that will be somewhere different later, but Steve and I have to work out where that's going to be stored. But I have half a barrack out there of hazmat supplies. So let's say we had this huge spill, and I need to go out to the barrack to grab some more pads and booms. Just having something to do it in. We're looking for grants, but the reason I put it in here, and I think we can get a grant, but just know that it may be a 50-50 grant, or it may be a 70-30 grant, and we just want to put the full price of it in here so we can be thinking about it.
Right.
Just put it on the radar. And that way, we need to find a way to put a truck with a camper shell and a 3-point, a class 3 hitch.
Right.
Basically class 3 hitch with a couple different ball configurations.
Doesn't landfill have an old truck or something like that that we currently using that he might be able to re-decal? like we do?
So I was we even looked at taking the inspector's truck because that's a lot of truck out, but he needs something heavier duty than that. That
Oh,
trailer.
you need a 3/4 ton
Yeah,
diesel
that's
truck.
right. So what I ended up doing with that Selectus truck, I ended up giving that to, maintenance, so they're taking lawnmowers up and down the road to cut grass, Burkeville, LRA, where were we finishing up at?
Would it be economical for him to have the car and the truck, or just get a truck, get ready to car?
Well, the car got 200-some thousand miles on it.
You might
That was a
ought to
used
get a
car when we
truck.
got it, right?
The car is serving me well, but I can't pull a trailer.
So you might need to get ready
We
to car.
would,
and
we
get a
would
truck.
need to look at, whether we just park the truck or whether just park the car,
But I hate to buy a truck like that and just hit the park, 3/4 ton. You see what I'm saying?
Guess what?
Well,
If
correct.
we had a truck, I hate to buy something like that and have this park there.
Right.
Oh,
We
yeah,
need
I
to
get
do
ready
that.
to car, cause then you ain't paying insurance on the car.
I thought that was a newer car.
No, that's an old car.
No, because and he did get, we have gotten, I mean, people have seen Buddy like in Prince Edward and called about, he's in Prince Edward. And he has told us he's in Prince Edward. He does work with other EMS personnel, so. Because now we've ridden all over, you see it anyway.
But
That's not-
They
let
wanted
the
thought it
public
was
know how
new.
you had it detailed.
So
Detail.
to the general public, when I came in, I had to work with what I had, and so I tried to be budget conscious. So we got the car for free from the sheriff. We went to the Amelia Votex Center and let the students remove all the decals for free. And they did a wax job and put a treatment on it for free. And then I turned around and got a really good price from a guy that does a graphic package. So the only money we put in it was the lights, the package, and the radio was actually a donated radio from another locality for just to put it in the console. So really the lights and the decals is about all I have in that car. And the car's got right now is 175 roughly in it. And I keep it maintained. And that's why I like to keep this line item here, because I keep it maintained. We make sure we take care of it.
But I struggle with this rental stuff. Is it worth our while? And they said that they would rent a vehicle, for rental. But what good for rent is it helps you budget purposes. In other words, he'll have a line item for $5,000 a year.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Why we yeah, I say rental. You're right.
I know
Lease is
that.
the right terminology. And we looked at that, and they are willing to give me a price. I didn't take it any further. I just told Buddy, I know it's a tight year, and stick with your car. But we got a trailer that we got. It's like we got a boat, but we ain't got a motor.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Right. I mean, yeah, we got a boat. Got a
Well,
motor,
we might have to use that.
Yeah.
and there's enough people like have time, right? But it's
Right,
people like that. But I'm sure I think the sheriff has pulled it before for you, and with his vehicle and things like that. But anyway.
Well, and let me, and too, that's a good point, Steve. I didn't mean park it as it's sitting under the tree all day, but what I was thinking is we have 911 signs that have to be installed, and they have an 8-foot long metal post for the 911 sign. So Jimmy always didn't have anything to haul those in. We had a hard time. Can't put them in a Jeep Compass and can't put them in a Dodge Charger.
And what
So-
are these supposed to be in 911?
And that's a steady. That's a
And they're
steady.
8 foot long?
8-foot metal.
You mean them? They ain't 911. I'm thinking then.
They're the brown signs.
The brown ones.
The little
How the
plastic-
hell they get them 4
Yeah.
foot, 5 foot in the ground?
How do you get them?
Drive them in the ground. He's got a driver.
He's
And
got,
they're 8 foot
he's
deep?
got to stand on that
I mean, 8
tailgate
foot
truck.
long.
The ones I got,
Stand on tailgate.
I've got one at my brother's house. It's come out the ground, and it's flexible. It's not metal.
Right. Oh, you
That's
can
the
go
old
almost
one.
over. Yeah.
That's the old one.
Yeah, the old ones were about mine. The Prince Edward put one in front of mine now. So the old ones out there, they're over like 4 foot.
That's right.
Load that metal tubing with the holes in it, that type of tubing you see in road signs, like VDOT uses.
Square.
That's what it is. Square tubing.
Okay. So that piece at the top ain't all what's in the ground.
Right.
It's square too.
He's
Okay.
driving the ground pretty good ways. He's
All
got.
right, but you got to think
got
that's for us because we into 14
So-
minutes of
So
10.
what I wanted to tell you on the truck, so don't worry about the sticker price. If there's a grant available, if it's okay with you, I'll pursue the grant. And if it ends up being 5% of 60, then that's all we'd have to cough up. It's 5%. So
3,000.
we could, there are grant programs, say, Homeland Security.
Right.
Right now FEMA's on the hold, but we will keep our eyes out for
Yeah,
that.
always look at grants. The worst we can do is say no, right?
Well, I
That's
like,
what
You know
grants-
things are tight.
I like to know before I apply, but if I know that, we have a good chance of getting it.
Well, one thing that
You got a real good chance of getting it if you come to us with the grant already approved.
one thing that the department heads needs to understand, and I think Logan, we go through this right much, Logan, tell me if I'm wrong or not. But if you approve $75,000 and he gets a grant and he's only got to pay $7,000, the rest of that money, it don't mean he can spend on something else.
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Not everybody believes that, right, Logan?
And just because, what I would suggest is he get approved on the grant first.
Right.
We can do that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that way, if we don't, if all the four members say, no, I don't want to fund it, I'm sorry you wasted your time on getting the grant money, but at least you done your due diligence.
And then we'll try to find it. That's what
But that's something that it's a
Then we know
hard pill to
exactly
swallow.
too what we gotta come up with.
Does that end it, buddy?
Well, one
Well,
question.
you told me a story.
Well,
like
that's
10
it for
minutes.
mine. I want to go over the 911 fund real quickly. Logan put that in your packet. I just talked to her about it. It'll be okay. So really and truly, I look at two budget sheets. I don't just do one. And I look at those guys too. So I guess I look at three budget processes, actually in my position. But this is one that I've monitored. I've been monitoring, I guess, a couple of years, right, Logan, 2 or 3 years with her. Just wanted to bring this to your attention and of course the general public is the 911 center is always looking for ways to improve, as we all know. And we budgeted every year level funded at $102,450. I think it's been at that for about the last 3 or 4 years. The new director has talked to me about some grants that we can co-write and basically some things like the 2 yellow lines you see there. She would like to go ahead and get this translator. I talked to Bill about this one day too on the side. This is not the Google translator. It's better than that. It's actually part of the system that we have. But the startup cost for it is $11,700, but then the recurring cost each year is $5,000. Now, looking at this budget, that $5,000 can be absorbed in this budget every year. I don't think without any problems. But what this does, it translates 120 languages. And it allows 911 to not have to do a lot of guesswork. They don't have to call a translator in. They basically, it does it through AI, and it just lets you know what the call is. The 2 languages in Nottoway County, other than English being number 1, is Spanish and Arabic is what we're hearing. That's what 911 tells us. So
That makes sense.
we want to still, I mean, you may not have 140 languages here, but it's a package. You don't buy it for 2, 3, you buy it for the whole. So it's here, and again, it's about 16,000. So I went ahead and added that if we found a way, and also look at line 34 and go all the way across. Actually, line 35 and go all the way across to the right. Your communication and sales and use tax, comes in from the state of Virginia, and that's what we get, and that's where that 102 comes from every year. So that's where it's been coming from.
On that communication, you said it was translated up to 140 languages.
I think it's 120 actually.
Up to 120 or whatever it is. Can the law enforcement use that instead of having to call a translator
Yes,
at an arrest?
yes, sir.
All right, well, the state provides payment on that translator. How come the state wouldn't provide payment on that?
I don't know. I haven't looked into that. Yeah,
Can you do that?
I'll have to ask the 911 director on that. I do know that this would be coming into the console, so no matter what the person was on the other end of the radio, we get the benefit for it. So we would have to have fire and EMS. Law enforcement would just be able to piggyback on it, as well as animal control and the game and inland fisheries. Anybody that calls into the center dealing with someone, like for instance, if is it Mr. Webb, I think is the wildlife resource.
Kevin Webb.
So let's say Kevin's in the woods and he comes up on a hunter with a different language, he can call in, we get that translated. So it's going to, the animal control as well.
Right, Kevin is a state employee.
I understand.
So that's one reason for him to help.
Well, and he has that radio system that he can use. But I think the other options would be the county options, the ones that we have in our county. So I'll certainly look into that, but that's something that she would like to put in it. And also, you notice we've got 2 grants here, the no match grants, and that's being budgeted in, but that'll be a wash. So in other words, we'll get 5,000 back for the 5,000 that you see, as well as the other 3,000.
Buddy, I know the board might have questions. Shifting back a little bit on the burn building. When we have a good partnership, but I want to make sure I need to trust and verify it. So we give $10,000 and you're asking 5,000 more. The partnership is Blackstone cuts the grass. Don't we write that check, Logan, to Blackstone?
Correct.
So is it possible we're paying for cutting the grass?
Town of is where it's right, written to, right?
I mean, is it $10,000 earmarked to improve the concrete or?
It's kind of like your decal money.
Or is it called maintenance, and that means ground maintenance too?
Right, and what I've asked Lee, good question.
Okay, that way.
Well, and I asked Lee to give us, if he can sit down with his finance people at Blackstone and give us a itemized sheet of the expenses, like what does that water line cost? What is,
Right.
what is the grass? What is the maintenance to the bathrooms? Cause they go out there and do.
Yeah, because one time they just needed money, started, we said, let's help you out here. We started money. They needed money for a shed to put the pallets in or something.
Right.
And I realized that Blackstone went in, poured the concrete, and we bought the shed or something. I just want the board to know where like, if they send a check to Blackstone for the ladder truck, they know it's going to the ladder truck, but what's going to the ladder truck, And you heard today that that's up 6,000 instead of 5,000.
67.
Yeah, right, that's right.
Yeah,
So
we
the
could-
same thing for that,
Right.
same thing for that burn building. You go up to 15,000, like, what in the world?
Right, I agree.
Right. Anyway.
Well, and I think we could probably look at a earmark too, Mr. Bowen. We could probably sit down with him and say, because we know Leeds wrote 2 grants last year. And the grants were for that high temperature lining that goes in the roof we burn. So that's gonna be a continuing thing. That's a maintenance issue. Whenever we write a grant from the state, maybe this money can go to the match of the grant. That way there's no way to double that up. Basically, you gotta write a check from whoever it comes from.
Now, I did go there when other counties are using that for training, and that does bring revenue for food, and they go inside and eating, and I've seen that place packed, man, with cars, all up down the road.
If you get a chance, run it that Sunday, if y'all down that around Rocky Bump or anywhere on Darby.
Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
You said Sunday.
I'm sorry, Saturday, we're doing a burn.
Okay.
Just the companies in Nottoway.
Yeah, so that's kind of a little bit
quarterly get together.
It's a little bit hidden jewel for people, other counties coming in.
It is, and part of the MOU was we wanted to actually put a name change on it, maybe like put our seal right there on the sign.
Yeah, Blackstone's name be behind us.
Yeah, that's right. Is that all you got for Buddy?
That's it, unless you have questions, again, that's too
Any
much.
questions for Buddy?
No, I'm good.
All right, I think we're done.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
If you have any questions, you know my number, you hear me?
Leave that right on time.
Right on time, and I don't think we need to end this meeting with no closing comments, do we? No.
No.
Other than I would like to, keep in mind Bill's wife, that the reason he couldn't be here today, she had a little bit of a health episode, scare this morning early, as well as Daphne getting a surgery done. I hope that the Lord's blessings be upon both of those.
So what I would like, and I don't know when Ms. Norton's coming back, but it's something we need to think about. But if you would give the comments, and I heard you say it today, Bo, and I'm glad you said it. You're not making any promises today. You're here to listen.
That's all.
And some of y'all said, well, I don't have a problem with that. But what we need to do is give your comments to Logan and to Ms. Norton and Dick Ingram, and so we can get back at the table and offer you a budget this balance.
Yep.
And that's how y'all want to go through. I don't know.
I think that'd be best.
I was pleasantly surprised with the request we got today.
For the good, right?
So that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
Oh, you said president.
Yeah.
If you ask me what's the 2 biggest elephants on the table, it's EMS, and which is let's just do round numbers, $500,000.
Right.
And it's a school,
That's right.
$500,000. That's what because we've come up ways. We've come up ways.
And
to
both
knock
of them
it.
Yeah, that's all.
We're working on that.
So you're gonna end up with a
Working on that.
choice. Do you want to go full cent on something and just take $500,000 out of general fund, or
That's
you
right.
want no tax increase, take $1 million out of general fund?
Yeah, that's what we're.
That's what
looking
it's
at.
all kind of boiled down to. I'm rounding numbers to you.
I'd rather not have a tax increase, than take $1 million out of reserves.
Right. Maybe why don't you don't do but a half, or us consider to do half tax increase and a half increase?
That's what
See,
we're talking about.
yeah,
Wait,
that's the thing we got. But we can balance it and do a big,
Right.
In other words, you're talking go 2 cents and then it's just half that much.
we just don't know yet. And again, everything's gonna depend on what the state does, what the government does. It's a whole. All right, I move we adjourn.
I second.
I'll third it.
All in favor, sign it back.